I have been in love with my fiancée for 3 years, yet she has given all her favor to that childhood friend, Yunfei. Every time that childhood friend sees me, he causes trouble and frames me, even going so far as to take pills to threaten suicide, forcing me to apologize and admit fault each time. During a company team-building trip at sea, the childhood friend deliberately jumped into the water to frame me for pushing him. Without asking for the truth, my fiancée took advantage of my distraction and pushed me off the yacht, ordering the crew not to rescue me, leaving me to drift toward a deserted island. Standing at the bow of the ship, she said coldly, "Yunfei and I grew up together. How could our bond ever compare to yours? If he suffers even the slightest grievance, it is your fault. Reflect on this deserted island. Only when he forgives you will I come back for you." The deserted island was utterly uninhabited, battered by torrential rains and raging waves. I was rescued by fishermen on my last breath, but the impact to my head left me with complete amnesia. I forgot my past, forgot her, and was left with only a profound detachment. Half a year later, my fiancée found me, crying. She confessed that her childhood sweetheart had harmed me, that she knew her mistake, that she was heartbroken with regret, and she knelt before me, begging me to come back. Yet, looking at the woman weeping before me, I felt only a sense of extreme unfamiliarity. My heart remained utterly unmoved, except for the scar on my wrist from the reef, which faintly exuded an inescapable chill. The sound of waves crashing against the yacht was particularly jarring under the bright noon sun. I stood at the edge of the deck, holding a half-full glass of champagne, watching the company's young employees laughing and playing around. This was the 5-year anniversary team-building event for Wang Group. As the founder, I should have been savoring this moment. Having grown up in an orphanage, I now owned a company valued at over $1 billion at the age of 30, yet my gaze kept drifting involuntarily toward the cabin. My fiancée, Lu Miao, was crouching beside Zhao Yunfei, her childhood sweetheart, carefully applying ointment to his wrist. Half an hour ago, Zhao Yunfei accidentally bumped into the railing, leaving a 3-centimeter scratch on his wrist. Not even a drop of blood. Brother Yang, what are you looking at? Assistant Xiaochen handed me a skewer of grilled meat and followed my gaze, his expression growing subtle. Miss Lu is taking care of Mr. Zhao again. I didn't say a word, downing my champagne in one gulp. 3 years ago, I met Lu Miao at a charity banquet. She was the heiress of Lu's building materials, elegant and beautiful, with eyes that curved into crescents when she smiled. She said she admired my drive to build a business from scratch, didn't mind my humble background, and was willing to work hard alongside me. I believed her. I gave her everything I could: shares in the company, keys to the villa, an engagement diamond ring, and even when her father's business faced a crisis, I used a third of the Wang family's liquid assets to help them through. Yet what I never managed to obtain was her whole heart. Wang Yang. Lu Miao walked over, looking somewhat weary. Yunfei is in a bad mood. Go apologize to him. I stared at her for 2 seconds. Why should I apologize? Just now in the cabin, didn't you intentionally bump into him and cause him to get hurt? She frowned, her tone matter-of-fact. I know you've always had issues with him, but everyone is here today. Can't you be a bit more mature? I almost laughed in disbelief. Half an hour ago, Zhao Yunfei, holding a wine glass, staggered and bumped toward me. I sidestepped to avoid him, and he ended up hitting the doorframe himself. At least 5 people witnessed the scene, including Lu Miao. I didn't hit him, I said, my voice calm. Lu Miao's face darkened. Wang Yang, I saw it with my own eyes. Are you, a grown man, afraid to own up to what you did? Yunfei has always been in poor health since he was young. What's wrong with giving him a little leeway? He's 30 years old. Lu Miao. I heard my voice turn cold. Besides, this is my company's team-building event. Why should I give way to an uninvited outsider? Zhao Yunfei was brought along by Lu Miao, who insisted he wasn't feeling well and needed to unwind. In fact, ever since Lu Miao and I got engaged, this childhood friend has been falling ill every few days, sometimes minor, sometimes serious, each time requiring Lu Miao to drop everything and take care of him. Last week, he even swallowed half a bottle of vitamin C and had to be rushed to the hospital for stomach pumping. Lu Miao stayed by his bedside for 3 days, while at that very time, I was negotiating a deal crucial to the company's survival. An outsider. Lu Miao's voice suddenly rose sharply. Wang Yang, say that again. Yunfei and I grew up together. He's like family to me. You're the one who. She suddenly stopped, but the meaning was already clear. I was the outsider. The laughter and chatter on the deck gradually subsided, and the staff stole glances in our direction. I felt my cheeks burning, not from shame, but from anger, and a profound, almost overwhelming sense of powerlessness. 3 years have passed. Every time we argue, I'm the one who has to back down in the end. Every time Zhao Yunfei feels wronged, I'm the one who has to apologize. Lu Miao always has her reasons. Yunfei's health is poor. Yunfei is sensitive. Yunfei has taken care of her since childhood. Yunfei owes her a debt of gratitude. Lu Miao, I lowered my voice. If you think Xiao Yunfei is more important to you than I am, we can reconsider the engagement. The moment those words left my mouth, I regretted them, not because of what I said, but because of when I said it. I shouldn't have said it in front of employees, and certainly not at the company's anniversary celebration, but the words were out, and there was no taking them back. Lu Miao's pupils contracted sharply. She looked at me in disbelief, her eyes reddening visibly. It wasn't sadness, it was anger. Wang Yang, you're actually breaking off our engagement over such a trivial matter. Her voice trembled. How many times have I argued with my family for you? My father never approved of us being together in the first place. It was me who insisted, and this is how you repay me now. Such a trivial matter. I repeated her words, almost laughing. Lu Miao, how many times has this happened over the past 3 years? Last time, he swallowed pills. The time before that, he was in a car accident, and the time before that, he went into anaphylactic shock. Which time didn't you drop everything and run to him? Last time we were taking wedding photos, he called saying he felt dizzy, and you ran off in your wedding dress, leaving me and the photographer staring at each other. It's because he only has me. Lu Miao cried out, his parents passed away long ago. He only has me. Wang Yang, how can you be so cold-hearted? As an orphan yourself, shouldn't you understand this kind of loneliness the most? Those words were like a knife, precisely stabbing into my deepest wound. I am an orphan, abandoned at the doorstep of an orphanage at the age of 5. I never knew who my parents were. I relied on social assistance and odd jobs to get through college, started with the 500,000 yuan I earned from my first entrepreneurial project, and step by step, I made it to where I am today. Is this my original sin? Because I am an orphan, am I supposed to understand others' loneliness? Am I supposed to accept that my fiancé will always put others first? Lu Miao, I heard my own voice, unusually calm. Let's end this. Her crying stopped abruptly. A deathly silence surrounded us, broken only by the sound of the waves and the roar of the yacht's engine. What did you say? I'm saying, we're over. I spoke each word deliberately. You go find your Xiao Yunfei, and I'll live my own life. Keep the engagement ring as a breakup fee. As for the loan to your father's company, repay it slowly according to the contract. From now on, we're even. With that, I turned and walked toward the cabin. I need to calm down. I need to leave here, now, immediately. Wang Yang, stop right there. I didn't stop. Wang Yang, if you dare to leave, you'll regret it. I continued walking forward, then I heard a splash, as someone fell into the water, followed by Lu Miao's heart-wrenching scream. Yunfei jumped into the sea. Help, Wang Yang, you pushed Yunfei into the water. I turned around abruptly. At the edge of the deck, Lu Miao was leaning over the railing, screaming toward the sea. About 10 meters away on the water, Xiao Yunfei was flailing in the water, struggling exaggeratedly and splashing water everywhere. Several crew members and employees had already rushed over. It wasn't me who pushed him, I said, my voice not loud but clear enough. It was you. Lu Miao turned around, her face covered in tears, yet her gaze was icy and fierce. I saw it. You were arguing with him, and in a fit of rage, you pushed him overboard. Wang Yang, how could you be so vicious? He can't even swim. He can swim, I said coldly. Last month, when you went to Sanya, he posted 9 diving photos on his social media. Lu Miao's expression froze for a moment, but it was quickly overwhelmed by even more intense anger. That's different. He's not in good shape right now. Wang Yang, if anything happens to Yunfei, I'll never forgive you for the rest of my life. As she spoke, the crew had already thrown a lifebuoy and pulled Xiao Yunfei out of the water. He lay coughing on the deck, soaked to the bone, his face pale and looking utterly exhausted. Miao Miao. He reached out to Lu Miao, his voice trembling. Don't blame President Wang. It's my fault. I shouldn't have made him angry. Did you hear that? He's still defending you. Lu Miao rushed up to me and slapped me across the face. I didn't dodge. A sharp crack echoed, and my cheek burned with pain. The surrounding staff gasped, everyone frozen in place. Assistant Xiaochen wanted to step forward, but I raised my hand to stop him. Had enough. I looked at Lu Miao and asked. She seemed startled by my calmness, taking half a step back, but quickly straightened her spine again. Not enough. Wang Yang, I want you to apologize to Yunfei. Right now, immediately, on your knees. I smiled. I really laughed. Lu Miao, I said softly, we've known each other for 3 years, and we've been engaged for 1. You said you loved me, that you admired my abilities, and that I gave you a sense of security, but in these 3 years, you've never trusted me even once. You believe everything Xiao Yunfei says, but you won't listen to any of my explanations. What exactly do I mean to you? Her lips moved, but no words came out. Never mind. I shook my head. It doesn't matter anymore, Captain. Turn around and head back to the dock. Xiao Chen, contact my lawyer and prepare the documents to dissolve our engagement. As for the rest of the staff, today's team building event is ending early. Your bonuses for this month will be doubled. It's my apology." With those words spoken, I turned around once more. This time, I walked away resolutely, but before I could take 3 steps, I felt a heavy push from behind. The force was so great that I lunged forward, my waist colliding with the railing, followed by a dizzying sensation of weightlessness. Splash! The icy seawater instantly swallowed me. I surfaced, wiped my face, and saw Lu Miao standing by the yacht's railing, looking down at me. There was no anger on her face, no sorrow, only a calmness that bordered on cruelty. "Wang Yang, I gave you a chance," she said, her voice drifting away in the sea breeze. "But you never learned to bow your head. Yunfei and I grew up together. How could you ever compare to our bond? If he suffers even the slightest grievance, it's your fault. Stay on this deserted island and reflect. When he forgives you, I'll come back for you." "Lu Miao," I roared, "have you lost your mind? This is international waters, there are sharks nearby." "Then pray the sharks don't like your scent," she replied, turning to give orders to the crew. "Set sail. Anyone who dares to save him will face the wrath of the Lu and Zhao families." The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but no one dared to move. "Set sail," Lu Miao screamed. The yacht's engine roared back to life, accelerating away. "Lu Miao, come back here, Lu Miao." I swam desperately, but the yacht grew farther and farther away, soon becoming a tiny dot on the horizon, surrounded by an endless expanse of azure sea. With the scorching sun blazing overhead, I looked around and noticed a dark speck in the distance, resembling an island, a deserted island. She had truly abandoned me on a deserted island. In that moment, I finally understood. Those 3 years of love, which I had so arrogantly cherished, were nothing more than a complete and utter joke. I swam with all my strength toward the deserted island, my arms and legs growing heavy, my consciousness beginning to blur. The last thing I remembered was the sharp pain of crashing into a hidden reef and the suffocating sensation of salty seawater flooding my throat. Then, darkness fell. Chapter 2. The darkness lasted for a long time. I floated in and out of consciousness, caught between pain and suffocation. Occasionally, I would become briefly aware, feeling my body bobbing in the seawater, only to sink back into a deeper darkness. I don't know how much time had passed when I was jolted awake by violent shaking. Opening my eyes, my vision was blurry, and I could only see rough wooden planks and flickering shadows. A salty, damp sea breeze hit my face, carrying the fishy smell of the ocean. "Awake, awake," a hoarse voice spoke. In Mandarin with a Manan accent. I struggled to focus my vision and saw a dark, wrinkled face belonging to an old fisherman in his 60s, wearing a tattered straw hat. "You're lucky to be alive, young man," the old fisherman grinned, revealing teeth stained yellow from smoking. "We found you among the rocks, your head bleeding profusely. We thought you were beyond saving." I wanted to speak, but my throat felt as though it had been sanded down, and I could only produce a hoarse, raspy breath. "Don't move, don't move. You've hit your head and are bleeding a lot." Another younger fisherman handed me a water bottle. "Drink some water." I struggled to swallow. The warm water slid down my cracked throat, bringing a fleeting sense of clarity. Then I froze. Who am I? Where do I come from? Why am I in the sea? I struggled to speak, my voice terrifyingly unfamiliar. "Who am I?" Two fishermen exchanged a glance, their expressions turning strange. "You don't remember?" The old fisherman leaned in. "What's your name? Where do you live? How did you fall into the sea?" I tried desperately to recall, but my mind was a blank. Only fragmented images flashed by: the azure sea, a white yacht, a woman's face blurred and indistinct, and a sharp pain in my wrist. I lifted my right hand, where a dirty strip of cloth was wrapped around my wrist, stained with blood. I untied the cloth, revealing a gruesome wound across my wrist bone. The flesh was turned outward, the injury so deep that the bone was visible, as if torn by sharp rocks. This scar will become the only physical memory I retain after losing my memory. "I don't remember," I heard myself say, my voice terrifyingly calm. "I don't remember anything." The old fisherman sighed. "What a tragedy. Judging by your clothes, you don't seem like an ordinary person. Let's go back to the village with us first, and we'll tend to your wounds before discussing anything else." I nodded, lay back down on the hard wooden planks, and gazed up at the gray, overcast sky above. After hours of tossing and turning on the sea, the fishing boat finally docked. It was a remote fishing village with dozens of households, their houses low and dilapidated. An old fisherman surnamed Chen, known to everyone in the village as Uncle Chen, settled me into a side room in his house and found a village barefoot doctor to treat my wounds, concussion, and a bit of hypothermia. The barefoot doctor, a thin middle-aged man, said as he wrapped gauze around my head, "It's hard to say if your memory will recover, it depends on fate, but you need to be careful with the injuries on your hand. If they get infected, it'll be troublesome." I silently underwent treatment, like a soulless shell. For the next month, I stayed at Uncle Chen's house. During the day, I helped him and the villagers mend fishing nets, and at night, I would just stare blankly at the sea. My memory still hadn't returned, but my instincts remained. I could handle accounts. Quickly performing mental calculations with complex numbers, I understood English contracts. Once, when the village TV was broadcasting financial news, I subconsciously analyzed a few stock market trends, leaving Uncle Chen utterly stunned. "Young man, you must have been a big boss before," Uncle Chen said, puffing on his pipe. "A big boss, maybe, but I don't remember anything." The scar on my wrist gradually healed, leaving behind a dark red, grotesque mark that resembled a twisted centipede. Every time I saw it, a cold chill would rise from the depths of my heart, along with an indescribable sense of hatred. Who do I hate? I don't know. I only know that this scar reminds me. I was once hurt, abandoned, and nearly died in the sea. 3 months later, I was able to get out of bed and walk. Chen Xiaohai, the 16-year-old grandson of Uncle Chen, became my only friend. He taught me how to gather seafood from the shore, recognize the tides, and helped me get familiar with this isolated fishing village. Brother Yang, have you ever thought about looking for your family? Chen Xiaohai asked one day as we sat on the rocks fishing. I don't know where to start looking, I said, gazing at the horizon. You could go to the city. The boy's eyes lit up. You know so much. You'd definitely find a job there. It's better than mending fishing nets in the village for the rest of your life. In the city, the word made my heart inexplicably tighten. Let's talk about it later. I stood up, brushing the sand off my trousers. It's time to go back. That evening, a few strangers arrived in the village. 3 men and 1 woman, dressed in neat suits and skirts, stood out starkly against the backdrop of the dilapidated fishing village. They drove a black SUV, its tires caked with mud. "We're from the Binhai City Rescue Station." The middle-aged woman at the front showed her credentials. "We heard that your village rescued someone who fell into the sea and lost their memory." Uncle Chen nodded and called me out. When the 4 of them saw me, their expressions clearly shifted, especially the younger man, whose eyes flickered as he quietly stepped half a pace back. "What's your name?" the middle-aged woman asked, her tone gentle. "I don't remember," I said. "Do you have any identification on you?" "No." "Any distinguishing features, birthmarks, scars?" I raised my right hand, revealing the scar on my wrist. The 4 of them stared at the scar for a long time, exchanging glances. The young man took out his phone, seemingly comparing something, then nodded toward the middle-aged woman. "Here's the situation." The middle-aged woman cleared her throat. "We received a request for assistance from a company in Binhai City. They had an employee who went missing at sea half a year ago and hasn't been found. The description matches you closely, around 30 years old, about 185 centimeters tall, with a scar on the right wrist. Could you come back to the city with us for a DNA comparison?" Uncle Chen's family watched me with hopeful eyes. I thought for a moment, and nodded. "That's fine too. I should at least know who I am." The next day, I got into that black SUV. Uncle Chen and Chen Xiaohai stood at the village entrance, waving until the car turned out of the mountain road and disappeared from sight. The young man in the passenger seat, the one with the shifty eyes from yesterday, kept glancing at me frequently through the rearview mirror. He was probably in his mid-20s, with a refined appearance, but there was an indescribable shrewdness and calculation in his eyes. "What's your name?" I asked. "My surname is Zhao." He smiled. "Zhao Ziming. I'm the administrative assistant at Wang Group." "Oh, the company you might have worked for." Wang Group. The name sent a jolt through me, but no image came to mind. "How did you know I was in that fishing village?" I asked. Zhao Ziming's smile remained unchanged. "We posted a missing person notice. Uncle Chen's nephew, who works in another city, saw it and contacted us. It's really lucky, you know. That area is often frequented by sharks. It's a miracle you survived." As he spoke, his fingers unconsciously rubbed the edge of his phone. I closed my eyes in the back seat, pretending to rest, but my mind was racing. Something's off. Zhao Ziming is far too calm. For a colleague who's been missing for half a year, his attitude is overly professional, almost detached and wary. Besides, if a key employee from the company had truly gone missing, why would an administrative assistant be the one to pick me up, rather than someone from senior management or a family member? Moreover, he just blurted out, "Wang Group," and then quickly corrected himself to, "the company where you might have worked." He's testing whether I remember. I may not remember anything, but that doesn't mean I'm stupid. The car drove for 5 hours before entering the coastal city. The towering buildings and bustling traffic should have felt familiar, yet they only left me feeling alienated and repelled. The car finally stopped in front of an imposing office building. The glass curtain wall reflected the setting sun, its glare stinging my eyes. "We're here." Zhao Ziming got out of the car and opened the door for me. "President Wang is waiting for you upstairs." President Wang, the general manager of the Wang Group. "Also," Zhao Ziming paused, "your fiancée, Miss Lu Miao." Lu Miao, that name felt like a needle, piercing deep into the fog of my memories. It hurt. "Is she my fiancée?" I asked. My voice calm, Zhao Ziming's eyes flickered. You'll know once you go up. The elevator went straight to the top floor. The hallway was carpeted with thick rugs, abstract paintings hung on the walls, and a faint scent of aromatherapy lingered in the air. Everything was exquisite and luxurious, yet as artificial as a movie set. Zhao Ziming stopped in front of a pair of wooden double doors and knocked. Come in. It was a woman's voice, cool and clear, with a barely perceptible tremor. Zhao Ziming pushed the door open and stepped aside to let me in. The office was spacious, with a floor-to-ceiling window facing the city skyline. The afterglow of the sunset poured in, gilding everything in gold. A woman stood by the window, her back turned to me. She wore a beige suit dress, her figure slender, her long hair elegantly tied into a bun. Hearing the footsteps, she slowly turned around. In that moment, time seemed to stand still. She was beautiful, her skin was fair, her features delicate, especially her eyes, large and bright, now shimmering with tears, the rims red. She looked at me, her lips trembling, tears rolling down without warning. Wang Yang, she whispered my name, her voice breaking. It's really you, you're still alive. She walked toward me, her high heels silent on the carpet. When she reached me, she reached out to touch my face, and I instinctively took half a step back. Her hand froze in midair. Wang Yang, her tears flowed even harder. Don't you recognize me? I'm Lu Miao, your fiancé. I looked at her, feeling utterly indifferent inside. There was no sense of familiarity, no affection, no excitement of a long-awaited reunion, only strangeness, and a bone-deep chill. I'm sorry, I said. I've lost my memory. I don't remember anything. Lu Miao's crying stopped abruptly. She stared at me wide-eyed, unable to believe what she was hearing. Memory loss? How could that be? What did the doctor say? Can it be recovered? I don't know. Then what do you remember? Even a little bit, about us, about the company. I don't remember anything, I interrupted her, my tone flat. Assistant Zhao said I used to work here. Can you show me my job proof, my employment contract? Also, where do I live, my ID card, bank cards? They should all be with you, right? My barrage of questions left Lu Miao stunned. Her expression changed, tears still hanging on her face, but a flicker of panic and calculation flashed in her eyes. Those were all lost when the accident happened. She wiped her tears, trying to keep her voice steady. The yacht accident caused all your personal belongings to fall into the sea, but it's okay. I've helped you reapply for everything. It just takes some time. For now, you can stay at my place, and I'll take care of you. No need, I refused bluntly. Just book me a hotel room. Also, I need to review the company's financial and personnel records. Since I was once an employee here, I should have access. Lu Miao's expression completely froze. Zhao Ziming stepped forward with an apologetic smile. Mr. Wang, you've just returned and haven't fully recovered yet. There's no need to rush into these matters. I am in a hurry. I looked at Lu Miao, speaking each word deliberately. I need to know who I am, what I've done, and what I possess. If I truly was once an executive of this company, I have the right to know everything. Now, please take me to see my office, or at the very least, show me the employee roster. A deathly silence fell over the office. The last ray of sunset sank below the horizon, and the room darkened. Lu Miao stood in the shadows, the tear stains on her face now dry, leaving behind only a complex expression: shock, panic, anger, and a trace of fear that was almost imperceptible. Wang Yang, she finally spoke, her voice somewhat dry. You've changed. I've lost my memory, I repeated. No. She shook her head, slowly walked behind the desk, sat down, and resumed that condescending posture. It's not just amnesia. You never used to speak to me in this tone before. I smiled, very faint, very cold smile. Is that so? I said. What was I like before? Lu Miao stared at me, and after a long while, she also smiled. But that smile didn't reach her eyes. The old you, she said softly, loved me very much, so much that you would do anything for me, including tolerating all my willfulness. She paused, then added, including Yunfei Yun. Yunfei Yun. The name made the scar on my wrist suddenly throb with pain. Who is Yunfei Yun? I asked, my voice steady. Lu Miao's expression froze again. She stared at me, as if trying to determine whether I was pretending to be ignorant. Don't you remember Yunfei? She probed. I don't. Another silence fell. Then Lu Miao stood up, walked over to me, this time without crying or trying to touch me. She looked up at me, her eyes holding an emotion I couldn't understand. That's fine, she said. Since you don't remember anything, let's start over. Wang Yang, let the past stay in the past. You're back, and that's enough. I'll help you regain your memories, help you get familiar with everything again. As for Yunfei, she paused, her voice softening. He's a good friend of mine, like family. You didn't like him much before, but from now on, I hope you two can get along well. Is that okay? I didn't say anything. She took my silence as agreement and gave a relieved smile. Ziming, she turned to Assistant Zhao. Arrange the best hotel suite near the company for Mr. Wang. Also, notify all department heads that there will be a meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mr. Wang will be listening to the 6-month work reports. Yes, Ms. Lu. Zhao Ziming lowered his head. Lu Miao looked back at me, her gaze so tender it seemed to melt. Wang Yang, rest well tonight. Starting tomorrow, I'll help you slowly recover the past. We have 3 years of memories. I don't believe you can't remember any of it. I didn't respond, turning to walk toward the door. Wang Yang, she called out to me from behind. I stopped but didn't turn around. Welcome back, she said, her voice choked with emotion. I've missed you every single day these past 6 months, truly. I didn't say a word, pulled open the door, and walked out. The corridor lights were harsh and pale, shining on the polished marble floor. Zhao Ziming quickly caught up and said in a low voice, Mr. Wang, I'll take you to the hotel. As the elevator descended, I looked at my reflection in the metal door, unfamiliar, pale, with empty eyes. Only the scar on my right wrist stood out, glaring and menacing under the light. Assistant Zhao, I suddenly spoke up, go ahead. What exactly happened during that shipwreck half a year ago? Zhao Ziming's body stiffened almost imperceptibly. It was a company team-building trip at sea. The yacht encountered an undercurrent, and you accidentally fell overboard, he said, speaking quickly. Mr. Lu tried to save you at the time, but the wind and waves were too strong. Is that so? I interrupted him. But Uncle Chen said that when I was rescued, I had a head injury, as if I had been struck hard, and if I really fell into the water accidentally, why has no one reported it or searched for me in the past 6 months, until a fisherman's nephew saw the missing person notice? The elevator chimed as it reached the first floor. Zhao Ziming's face turned pale, and beads of sweat formed on his temples. Mr. Wang, he said with difficulty, these matters, you should ask Mr. Lu directly. I'm just an assistant. I don't know anything. I watched him for a long time until he lowered his head, unable to meet my gaze. Lead the way, I said, stepping out of the office building. Night had fallen, and the city lights began to glow. I looked up at the lit window on the top floor, faintly seeing a figure standing by it. Lu Miao was watching me. I averted my gaze and got into the car. The scar on my wrist began to ache again, a chill seeping from deep within the scar and spreading throughout my body via my bloodstream. I don't remember the past, but my body does. It remembers betrayal, remembers the pain, and remembers the despair of being abandoned in the vast, boundless sea. And this is only the beginning. Chapter 3. The hotel arranged by Zhao Ziming was the top-tier Xinghe Bay suite in Binhai City. Beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows lay the night view of the entire city, dazzling like a galaxy inverted above. Mr. Wang, here is your room key. Zhao Ziming respectfully handed over the key card. Mr. Lu has instructed that you can contact me anytime if you need anything. My phone is on 24 hours a day. No need. I took the key card. You can go back. Zhao Ziming hesitated for a moment. Then, shall I pick you up at 8 tomorrow morning to go to the company? 9 o'clock, I said. I need to rest. All right, 9 o'clock. He bowed slightly and withdrew, casting one last, complex glance at me before closing the door. The door shut, and the world finally fell silent. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, gazing down at the unfamiliar bustle below. Neon lights flickered, and traffic flowed like a river. This city was supposed to be the place where I had struggled, lived, and loved, yet now it felt as alien as another planet. The scar on my wrist throbbed with a dull ache. I looked down at the fear scar, my fingertips gently tracing the uneven flesh. It hurt, but what hurt more was a sense of emptiness. I had lost 30 years of my life, like a book with all its words torn out, leaving only the cover and the back. After taking a shower and changing into the pajamas provided by the hotel, I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Sleep was nowhere to be found. I got up and opened the laptop in the room. There was no password, and I went straight to the desktop. I tried searching for Wang Yang, Binhai City, and a flood of news popped up. Youth entrepreneur Wang Yang built a billion-dollar business empire from scratch in 5 years. Founder of Wang Group donates millions at charity gala. Wang Yang engaged to Lu family's daughter Lu Miao. Business world's golden couple finally united. I clicked on an article, accompanied by photos from the engagement banquet. The man in the photo was wearing a tailored suit, smiling gently, with his arm around a woman's waist. Lu Miao, dressed in a white gown, her smile radiant as a blooming flower. That was me, but the man in the photo had bright eyes and a relaxed expression, looking nothing like the person I see in the mirror now. I continued scrolling and found a brief news article from 6 months ago. Founder of Wang Group missing at sea, rescue efforts yield no results, suspected dead. The report was short, stating only that an accident occurred during a company team-building event, during which the founder, Wang Yang, fell into the water and went missing. After 3 days of search and rescue, no results were found. There were no details, no follow-up. it was like a stone thrown into the sea, with even the ripples quickly fading away. This isn't normal. How could the media possibly report so little about the unexpected disappearance of the founder of a billion-dollar company? Moreover, why was there no police statement, no accident investigation? I switched to the official website of Wang Group, company profile, business segments, team introduction. On the management team page, I saw General Manager Lu Miao, with a professional headshot of her smiling appropriately. My name was nowhere to be found. The founder has been missing for half a year, and the company's official website has erased all traces of her, not even a deeply mourned announcement. I searched for Zhao Yunfei. Not much information came up, mostly just social media updates. The latest post was from a month ago, a photo from a vacation in the Maldives, with the caption, "Survived a close call, grateful for everything." In the photo, Zhao Yunfei was wearing a floral shirt and sunglasses, with his arm around Lu Miao's shoulder. Both of them were smiling brightly at the camera. The backdrop was a stunning blue sea and sky, with a luxurious resort in the background. In the comments, someone asked, "Sister Miao, is there still no news about President Wang?" Lu Miao replied with a crying emoji and said nothing. Scrolling further down, there were earlier posts. Zhao Yunfei often shared melancholic texts, accompanied by pictures of hospital drips or medicine bottles, occasionally with photos of him and Lu Miao. The captions were always things like, "Thankfully, I have you," or "Meeting you is the luckiest thing in my life." I stared at those photos, and my heart suddenly twisted violently. It hurt. It's not a physical pain, but a deep-seated ache stirred from the depths of memory. Those medicine bottles, those hospital beds, those scenes of Zhao Yunfei leaning weakly on Lu Miao's shoulder, like needles, piercing my blank mind. I slammed the laptop shut, breathing heavily. No, I can't look anymore. I lay back on the bed and closed my eyes, but those images wouldn't fade. In the darkness, I seemed to hear a woman's voice, cold and cruel. "Yunfei and I grew up together since childhood. How can your feelings compare to ours? If he suffers even the slightest grievance, it's all your fault." It was Lu Miao's voice. Then came a man sobbing, exaggerated and affected. "Miao Miao, don't blame President Wang. It's my fault." Zhao Yunfei. Finally, there was the sound of crashing waves, the bone-chilling seawater, and the weightless sensation of being shoved hard from behind. I opened my eyes, my sleepwear soaked in cold sweat. Outside the window, the sky was just beginning to lighten. It was 4 a.m. Unable to fall back asleep, I got up, made a cup of coffee, and sat down at my desk. On the table were notepaper and a pen prepared by the hotel. I picked up the pen and instinctively wrote a string of numbers on the paper. It was a 6-digit password. I froze. I couldn't remember what the password was for, but my fingers did, like the scar on my wrist. My muscle memory still held onto certain fragments. I tried entering this password on my computer, which opened an encrypted cloud drive. It required two-factor authentication. I frowned and tried several common security questions. Place of birth, don't know. Mother's name, don't know. First pet, don't know. All of them were incorrect. Just as I was about to give up, my fingers moved again, typing out a line on the keyboard. "Who is the person you hate the most?" I stared at the line, my heart pounding wildly. Then, slowly, I typed out one letter at a time. Lu Miao. Zhao Yunfei. Lu Miao. Zhao Yunfei. Enter. The cloud drive has opened. There is only one folder inside, named simply, Backup. Opening it reveals a large number of files, equity structure charts, financial audit reports, bank statements, scanned contracts, meeting recordings, photos, and even a few videos. I opened the most recent document, a draft equity transfer agreement from 6 months ago. Party A, Wang Yang. Party B, Lu Miao. The content indicates that Party A voluntarily and unconditionally transfers 51% of the equity in Wangsher Group, which it holds, to Party B, retaining only 10% in dry shares. The reason for the transfer is personal reasons, unable to continue participating in the company's operations. The signing date was exactly the day before the company's team-building trip at sea. I continued flipping through and found more bewildering documents. A draft will stating that in the event of Wang Yang's accidental death, all assets under his name, including company equity, real estate, and investments, will be inherited by his fiancée Lu Miao. Several high-value personal accident insurance policies, all with Lu Miao as the beneficiary, with a total coverage exceeding 50 million, several bank statements showing large transfers from Wang Yang's personal accounts over the past 6 months, totaling approximately 30 million, with the recipients being several shell companies, which were ultimately traced to the Zhao Group, the enterprise of Zhao Yunfei's family. Several meeting recordings, spanning a period of over a year. In the recording, Lu Miao repeatedly stated at high-level meetings, "President Wang is unwell and needs rest. I will temporarily handle company affairs on his behalf." Although other executives questioned this, she silenced them by saying, This is President Wang's wish. What sent the deepest chill down my spine was the final video. It was filmed the night before the shipwreck, in the study of my villa, or rather, the villa belonging to me before I lost my memory. In the footage, I sat at the desk, looking pale and exhausted. Lu Miao stood behind me, her hands resting on my shoulders, speaking gently. Yang, sign it. Didn't the doctor say you need to rest? Company matters are too draining. Just leave them to me. Once you're better, you can come back anytime. The me in the video, shook my head, my voice hoarse. Meow, this is my life's work. I know. Lu Miao bent down, her cheek pressed against my hair. It's precisely because it's your life's work that I want to protect it for you. Don't you trust me? We're about to be husband and wife. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. Sign this authorization, focus on recovering, and I'll help manage the company even better. Okay. She handed me a pen. In the video, I hesitated for a long time before finally trembling as I signed the document. A third person's voice came from off-screen, tinged with amusement. That's more like it, Mr. Wang. Your health is what matters most. Meow is so capable, she'll definitely manage the company well. It was Zhao Yunfei. He was actually there, in the video. I suddenly looked up, my eyes filled with shock and anger. What are you doing here? Who let you in? Zhao Yunfei walked into the frame from off-camera, casually putting his arm around Lu Miao's shoulder, his smile provocative. Meow invited me. President Wang, are you so sick you've lost your mind? Get out. The me in the video grabbed a cup from the table and threw it at him. Zhao Yunfei easily dodged, and the cup shattered on the floor. Lu Miao's face darkened. Wang Yang, what are you doing? Yunfei came to see you out of kindness. Can you stop always targeting him like this? Me targeting him? The me in the video stood up, swaying unsteadily. Lu Miao, look clearly, this is our home. What right does he have to be here? What right does he have to interfere in our affairs? Because he is the most important person to me, Lu Miao said sharply. Wang Yang, I've had enough of your attitude. Yunfei is my brother, my family. Are you really forcing me to choose between you? In the video, I opened my mouth but made no sound, then slumped back into my seat, covering my face with my hands. The scene ends here. I turn off the video, sit in the chair, feeling cold all over. So that's how it is. What love, what engagement, what self-made business genius. It's all a joke. I am a carefully designed pawn in someone's game. My fiancée and her childhood sweetheart started plotting a year ago, step by step emptying my company, transferring my assets, and even preparing my will and accident insurance. And that shipwreck was no accident at all, it was murder. It was Lu Miao who personally pushed me into the sea, leaving me to fend for myself. The scar on my wrist began to ache again, this time with a burning pain, as if reminding me of how cold the seawater was that day, how sharp the reefs were, and how utterly I was betrayed. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. Anger is useless now. I have lost my memory, and legally, I can't even prove that I am me. Lu Miao dared to take me back, so she must have a backup plan. She isn't afraid of me regaining my memory because she has long prepared a full set of explanations and evidence to prove that Wang Yang voluntarily transferred his shares, Wang Yang's poor health requires rest, and Wang Yang unfortunately died in an accident, and I, a survivor, who has lost all memory and has no evidence, stand no chance against her. Unless I reopened the cloud drive and carefully examined every file. Deep within the backup folder, there was a hidden subfolder named Last Line of Defense. Opening it required another password. I tried entering Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei's names, but it was incorrect. I entered my birthday. I don't know my birthday. I entered the company's founding date, but it was wrong. Finally, I stared at the computer screen, and suddenly a scene flashed through my mind. Dim lighting. My pre-amnesia self sat in front of the computer, eyes bloodshot, fingers flying across the keyboard. On the screen was the interface of encryption software, and I was setting the final password. If they really go that far, I heard myself murmur, this is my only way out. What's the password? I closed my eyes, my fingertips hovering over the keyboard. Then, slowly, I typed 8 digits, 201809115, enter. The folder opened. There are only 3 files inside. A scanned copy of a notarized original will clearly states, in the event of Wang Yang's accidental death, all assets are to be donated to the Orphan Relief Foundation, with Lu Miao, Zhao Yunfei, and related parties inheriting nothing. The notarization date was 1 week before the shipwreck. A shareholding agreement shows that 15% of the equity in Wang Group is held in trust by a person named Chen Shoujing, with the true owner still being Wang Yang. The signing date was 3 years ago, which was when Lu Miao and I first met. An encrypted contact list containing only 2 names and phone numbers, Chen Shoujing, Linjia. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding wildly in my chest. Before losing my memory, I had already sensed something was wrong. In fact, I had long prepared a backup plan. Chen Shozheng, that name sounds somewhat familiar. I searched through my memories and suddenly remembered, Uncle Chen, the old fisherman who saved me, was named Chen Shozheng. Is it a coincidence? No, it's impossible. Uncle Chen was an ordinary fisherman from a remote fishing village in southern Fujian. How could he possibly hold a 15% stake in the Wang Group, unless I picked up the hotel phone, then put it down? I couldn't use the hotel phone, it might be tapped. I took out the business card Zhao Ziming had left me, which had his mobile number on it. I dialed it from my own phone. After 3 rings, it connected. Mr. Wang. Zhao Ziming's voice was drowsy, clearly indicating he was asleep. Who is Chen Shozheng? I asked. Directly, there was a silence on the other end of the phone for a full 5 seconds. Mr. Wang, how do you know that name? Answer me. Zhao Ziming swallowed hard. Chen Shozheng was an early investor in the company, but he withdrew his investment and left 3 years ago, moving overseas. Why do you ask? Withdrew his investment, I sneered. So does he still hold any company equity? Probably not anymore. Everything was settled when he withdrew. Zhao Ziming's voice sounded somewhat unnatural. President Wang, have you remembered something? No, I said, just asking around. I'll hang up now. After hanging up the phone, I stared at the screen of my mobile phone. Zhao Ziming was lying. Chen Shozheng not only didn't withdraw his investment, but also held 15% of the equity on my behalf. This was the deepest foreshadowing planted by the me before I lost my memory. As for Lin Jie, when I searched this name, what came up was a top criminal lawyer in Binhai City, specializing in economic crimes and murder cases, with an extremely high win rate and equally high fees. I noted down Lin Jie's phone number but didn't call immediately. It wasn't the right time yet. I needed more information, needed to know the company's current real situation, needed to know exactly how far Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei had gone. Most importantly, I need to know what the me before the amnesia left behind. Outside the window, the sky gradually brightened, and the morning light streamed through the glass, illuminating the documents spread out on the desk. Those cold words and numbers outlined a cruel truth. The woman I once deeply loved and the man I regarded as a brother had been scheming against me from the very beginning, and now, I have nothing left, only an empty heart and an ugly scar. But enough with this scar, these documents, and the presence of Chen Shozheng and Lin Jie. That's enough. I shut down the computer, walked into the bathroom, and stared at the unfamiliar face in the mirror. Wang Yang, I said to the mirror, my voice calm. Welcome to hell. Now, it's your turn to fight back. The man in the mirror had cold eyes and a faint, emotionless curve to his lips. The scar on the wrist glowed with a dark red light in the morning sun, like a wound that never heals, also like a metal. Chapter 4. At 9 in the morning, Zhao Ziming knocked on the door punctually. When I opened the door, he was already wearing his standard professional smile, holding a delicate breakfast bag. Mr. Wang, Mr. Lu asked me to bring this for you, saying you used to love their shrimp dumplings and boat congee the most. I took the bag without saying a word. The car is downstairs. Shall we leave after you finish your breakfast? Zhao Ziming asked tentatively. No rush. I turned back to my room, placed the breakfast bag on the coffee table without opening it, and said, answer a few questions first. Zhao Ziming followed me in, closed the door, and looked somewhat nervous. Please go ahead. Who was in charge of the company during my 6-month disappearance? Mr. Lu was mainly in charge, of course, the several vice presidents also. Be specific. I interrupted him, regarding the personnel changes. Who replaced the CFO? What adjustments have been made to the business direction? Bring me the reports on the large fund flows from the past 3 months. Zhao Ziming's forehead broke out in a fine sweat. Mr. Wang, these matters. Mr. Lu instructed that we wait until you're feeling better before. I'm perfectly fine now, I said, staring at him. Or are you saying that I, as the founder, don't even have the right to look at the company's reports? No, of course not. Zhao Ziming waved his hands repeatedly. It's just, some of the documents are with Mr. Lu, and I need to ask for permission. Then let's request it now. I sat down on the sofa, took out my phone, and said, make the call. Zhao Ziming's face turned pale. After hesitating for a few seconds, he still dialed Lu Miao's number and put it on speakerphone. Ziming, Lu Miao's voice came through, with some background noise as if he were in a meeting room. President Lu, Mr. Wang wants to see the company's recent personnel and financial reports. What do you think? There was a 2-second silence on the other end of the phone, then Lu Miao laughed, her voice gentle. Yang is by your side, give me the phone. Zhao Ziming handed me the phone. Miao Miao, I called her name, my tone calm. Yang, Lu Miao's voice grew softer. Why the rush? Your health is what matters most. I'll handle things at the company. Rest well for now, and once your memory recovers a bit, I'll explain everything to you slowly. Okay, no, I said, I want to see it now. Another silence followed. This time, a barely perceptible chill crept into Lu Miao's voice. Yang, did someone tell you something? The company is running smoothly, so you don't need to worry. Besides, some matters are quite complicated. With your memory loss, you might not understand them, and could even cause more trouble. For example, I asked, for instance, you replaced the CFO with your cousin, or, 3 months ago, the company transferred a 20 million yuan payment to a newly established shell company under the guise of a project advance, with the legal representative being Zhao Yunfei's cousin. A clattering sound came from the other end of the phone, as if something had been knocked over. How do you know these things? Lu Miao's voice changed, no longer gentle, but filled with shock and panic. I didn't answer. Actually, I was just guessing. After reading those documents last night, I could roughly guess how Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei would operate, placing their own people, transferring company assets, hollowing out the Wang Group. I just picked a few of the most likely points to bluff her, and it worked. Financial reports, personnel files, all transaction records, I said, word by word. Deliver them to my room within an hour, otherwise, I'll go to the company myself, call a meeting with all the executives, and ask them in front of everyone. Wang Yang, you, Lu Miao gasped for breath but quickly composed herself, forcing a smile. All right, I'll give them to you. Zimming, go back to the company and bring everything Mr. Wang wants. Yang, don't be angry, I was just worried about your health. I'll have Zimming deliver those documents right away. Take your time looking through them, and if there's anything you don't understand, just ask me anytime. No need, I said, I can read it. I hung up the phone and tossed it back to Zhao Zimming. He fumbled to catch it, his face pale as a sheet. President Wang, are you really suffering from amnesia? He asked in a low voice. I glanced at him. What do you think? Zhao Zimming didn't dare to ask any more questions and bowed his head as he retreated from the room. An hour later, he returned carrying a thick stack of documents, his forehead covered in sweat. I told him to place them on the coffee table, then waved my hand to dismiss him. Once the door closed, I sat down in front of the sofa and began flipping through the documents. The more I read, the colder my heart grew. Lu Miao's courage is even greater than I imagined. Over the past 6 months, she has made 17 personnel adjustments in the name of acting chairman, replacing all key positions with her own people or Zhao Yunfei's people. The former financial director, my old subordinate who had been with me for 5 years, was dismissed on the grounds of serious dereliction of duty and replaced by her cousin, who only has a technical secondary school education. In terms of business, she cut the company's 2 most profitable technology projects, citing long investment return cycles, and then poured all the funds into real estate, the main business of Zhao Yunfei's family. 3 months ago, that 20 million was indeed transferred to the shell company owned by Zhao Yunfei's cousin. It was labeled as an advance payment for a joint development project, but the contract was full of loopholes, almost equivalent to giving the money away for free. What's even more outrageous is that she used the excuse of the company needing funds for cash flow to mortgage 3 of the company's core assets and secured an 80 million loan from the bank. The flow of this money was unclear on the books, but after being passed through several related companies, it ultimately ended up flowing into the Zhao Group. By the time I finished reading the last document, it was already 3 in the afternoon. The sunlight outside the window was blinding, yet I felt a chill running through my entire body. This wasn't poor management, it was a premeditated scheme to drain and transfer assets. Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei never intended to run the company properly from the start. Their goal was to squeeze Wang Group dry, leaving behind an empty shell. And me, the founder, I was supposed to disappear forever. I picked up my phone and dialed the number I had written down last night. Lin Jie, the criminal defense lawyer. The phone rang 5 times before it was answered, and a calm male voice said, "Hello, who's this?" "Lawyer Lin, it's Wang Yang." There was a 3-second silence on the other end, then Lin Jie laughed, his voice tinged with relief. "President Wang, you finally got in touch with me. It's been half a year. I thought you really died." I finished the sentence for him. "Lost contact," he corrected. "Old Chen contacted me and said you had disappeared, but I didn't believe it. You're not the kind of person who would die so easily." "Old Chen must be Chen Shoujing. Where is Old Chen now?" I asked. "He's still in the fishing village. After you went missing, he tried to look for you a few times, but Lu Miao's people were keeping a close watch, so he didn't dare make any moves. Besides," Lin Jie paused, "Lu Miao has already made your will public, stating that all your assets are to be left to her. Although Old Chen has your notarized will in his possession, Lu Miao has already established the narrative first. If he produces it now, it will only be dismissed as a forgery." "As expected, I need you to help me with a few things," I said. "Go ahead." "First, I've lost my memory. I don't remember anything from the past, but last night I found an encrypted cloud drive with backup files. I need you to help me analyze whether these files are legally sufficient to take down Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei. Memory loss. Linja's voice turned serious. Do you have any medical proof? When I woke up in the fishing village, the barefoot doctor that Uncle Chen found gave me a certificate. It's quite simple, but it should be valid. If needed, I can go to a major hospital for a formal evaluation. Good, that's very important. A state of amnesia can affect the recognition of many legal procedures. What's the second thing? Second, there's a scar on my wrist, left from the shipwreck. I need you to conduct an injury assessment to confirm it was caused by external force and contradicts the claim of accidental drowning. You suspect it was murder. It's not suspicion, it's certainty, I said calmly. Lu Miao pushed me into the sea with her own hands, and I heard with my own ears her order to the crew not to rescue me. A sharp intake of breath came from the other end of the line. Third, I continued, I need you to secretly investigate all financial transactions between Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei over the past 6 months, including those involving their personal accounts and family businesses. Focus on the Zhao Group. I suspect they are using the Wang Group to launder money and transfer assets. I'm already on it, Linja said. Old Chen contacted me on the 3rd day after you disappeared. I've been investigating in secret throughout these past 6 months. However, Lu Miao is very cautious. Much of the evidence has been destroyed or covered up. I need time, and I also need your authorization. I authorize you. In the name of Wang Yang, founder of the Wang Group, I entrust you with full authority to handle this case. Alright, Linja paused. There's one more thing. Zhao Yunfei has recently been in contact with an overseas buyer, intending to sell some of the Wang Group's core technology patents. If he succeeds, the company will truly be left as nothing but an empty shell. When is the transaction? It's still in the preliminary stages, nothing has been finalized yet, but I heard the buyer will be arriving in Binhai City in the next few days, and Zhao Yunfei has arranged a dinner meeting. Time, place, person, tomorrow night at 7, Golden Summit Club, VIP room 888. The buyer is the boss of a tech company from Singapore, surnamed Huang. Zhao Yunfei will bring Lu Miao along. I smiled. Attorney Lin, I need a favor from you. Go ahead, get me a membership card for the Jinding Club for tomorrow night. Also, I want to meet Boss Huang before the dinner. Linja also smiled. President Wang, even though you've lost your memory, your style hasn't changed at all. I'll arrange the card and the meeting, but be careful. Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei currently think you're amnesiac and easy to control. If you act too normal, they'll grow suspicious. I know, I said, so, I need you to play along with me. What kind of play? A play that will completely put them at ease, then expose their true colors. After hanging up the phone, I looked at the pile of documents on the coffee table and formulated a plan in my mind. At 4 in the afternoon, Lu Miao arrived. She had changed into a Chanel suit, her makeup flawlessly applied, and she carried an Hermes bag, looking elegant and poised, nothing like the disheveled appearance she had shown on the phone earlier that morning. Yang, she said, pushing the door open with a gentle smile. Ziming told me you've been reviewing documents for a long time. Are you tired? I had the kitchen prepare some bird's nest soup. Drink it while it's still hot. She placed the thermos on the coffee table and sat down beside me quite naturally, reaching out as if to touch my forehead. I turned my head to avoid her touch. Her hand froze midair, and her smile faltered for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. Are you still mad at me? I was wrong this morning. I shouldn't have kept it from you, but I was doing it for your own good. You just got back, and your health hasn't fully recovered yet. I didn't want you to worry about those troublesome matters. Lu Miao, I interrupted her. Did we really get engaged? Her eyes instantly welled up with tears. Yang, what do you mean by that? Of course we were engaged. Look, here's our engagement ring. I've been wearing it all this time. She extended her left hand, revealing a diamond ring on her ring finger, sparkling under the light. It's beautiful, I said, but I don't have it on me. Your ring fell into the sea, she said, tears falling. That day when you fell into the water, the ring just, Yang, do you not believe me? We've had 3 years together. How could I possibly lie to you? I watched her cry, feeling no emotion inside, even wanting to laugh. I believe you, I said, deliberately softening my tone. It's just, I don't remember anything, and it's a little scary. Lu Miao immediately grabbed my hand, holding it tightly. Don't be afraid, I'm here. I'll help you remember slowly. Yang. Do you know how I've spent these past 6 months? I've thought of you every day, regretted every day. If only I had held you back that day. If only I hadn't let you go on deck. She cried, tears streaming down her face like pear blossoms in the rain, her emotions genuine and heartfelt. If I hadn't seen those documents or heard those recordings, I might have almost believed her. Zhao Yunfei, I suddenly asked, how is he doing? Lu Miao's sobbing paused for a moment. She wiped away her tears, her voice tinged with a nasal tone. Yunfei, He also blames himself. After that day, he fell seriously ill and was hospitalized for half a month. He kept saying it was his fault. If he hadn't gone to the team building event, you wouldn't have gotten angry, and you wouldn't have. Yang, please don't blame him. He didn't mean for it to happen. I don't blame him, I said. I want to see him. Lu Miao was taken aback. See Yunfei, why? You said he's like family to you, I said, looking into her eyes. Since we're starting over, I should meet your family, shouldn't I? Lu Miao's eyes flickered, as if trying to gauge my intentions. A few seconds later, she smiled, a genuinely happy smile. Good, Yang, I'm so glad you think that way. I'll call Yunfei right now and ask him to come over tonight. We can have dinner together. No need for tonight, I said. Right now is fine. I have something I want to ask him. Right now? Lu Miao hesitated. Yunfei, he's not in the best health. He might be resting at home. Then we'll go to his place, I said, standing up. Let's go, you lead the way. Lu Miao opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but seeing my firm attitude, she had no choice but to nod. All right, I'll give him a call and have him get ready. She walked over to the window to make the call, her voice lowered so I couldn't hear what she was saying, but from the way she kept glancing at me, it seemed she was tipping off Xiao Yunfei, telling him to get ready. Fine, I'd like to see for myself what kind of person this childhood sweetheart is, the one who has Lu Miao so infatuated that she'd go as far as plotting to murder her fiancé. Half an hour later, we arrived at Zhao Yunfei's apartment, a top-tier luxury residence in the city center, with 1 unit per floor and direct elevator access. The door opened, and Zhao Yunfei stood there, dressed in casual home clothes, his face pale with faint dark circles under his eyes, looking genuinely frail and unwell. Miao. He greeted Lu Miao first, then turned to me with a timid gaze, filled with guilt and unease. President Wang, it's so good to have you back. He reached out to shake my hand, but his fingers trembled, and he pulled back, as if afraid. I watched him perform, sneering inwardly. Mr. Xiao, I said, not extending my hand. I heard you fell seriously ill after I fell into the water. Zhao Yunfei's eyes instantly reddened. He lowered his head, his voice choked with emotion. Yes, it's all my fault. If I hadn't boarded the boat that day, if I hadn't argued with you, you wouldn't have. President Wang, I'm sorry, truly sorry. For the past 6 months, I've had nightmares every night, dreaming of you in the sea. As he spoke, tears began to fall, his shoulders trembling with sobs, looking pitiful and vulnerable. Lu Miao immediately hugged him with heartache. Yunfei, don't be like this, it's not your fault. Yang is back now, isn't he? It's okay, it's all in the past. While comforting Zhao Yunfei, she gave me a pleading look, meaning she wanted me to say something. I didn't speak and walked straight into the living room, sitting down on the sofa. The apartment was decorated with extreme luxury, but it had a taste of a nouveau riche, walls lined with famous wines, a grand piano in the corner, limited edition figurines on the coffee table, and a vulgar oil painting hanging on the wall, depicting Zhao Yunfei himself. The Zhao family home is quite grand, I said. Zhao Yunfei wiped away his tears and, with Lu Miao's help, sat down weakly. It was all left by my father. How could I ever afford a house like this on my own? President Wang, you used to come here often and even said the decor was a bit tacky. He was testing me. Is that so? I smiled. I don't remember, but looking at it now, it does seem a bit that way. Zhao Yunfei's expression froze, and Lu Miao quickly smoothed things over. Yang, what are you talking about? Yunfei's place is wonderful, all carefully arranged by him. Carefully arranged fakes. I pointed at the oil painting on the wall. This painting is a replica, isn't it? The original is in the Louvre in Paris and isn't for sale. Zhao Yunfei's face instantly turned pale. Lu Miao was also stunned, looking at the painting and then at Zhao Yunfei. Yunfei, this painting, it's a high-quality replica. Zhao Yunfei's voice trembled. But I love this painting. Since I couldn't get the original, I had someone make a copy. You have a sharp eye, Mr. Wang. You said it was fake before. I don't remember. I interrupted him again. I just thought the original wouldn't paint the figures so greasy. Zhao Yunfei's hands, resting on his knees, clenched tightly, but he still managed to maintain a strained smile on his face. Let's not talk about this anymore. Lu Miao changed the subject. Yang, didn't you have something to ask Yunfei? Oh, right. I leaned forward, looking at Zhao Yunfei. Mr. Xiao, thank you for taking care of Miao while I was missing these past 6 months. You must have worked hard. Not at all. Zhao Yunfei quickly waved his hand. Miao is like a little sister to me. Taking care of her is only natural. Little sister, I raised an eyebrow. But I heard that you've been living in Miao's villa these past 6 months, going in and out together, and even vacationing together in the Maldives. Anyone who didn't know better might think you two were the couple. The air in the living room instantly froze. Lu Miao's face turned deathly pale. Yang, what are you talking nonsense about? Yunfei was just worried. About me, keeping me company. Is that so? I looked at Zhao Yunfei. Mr. Zhao, do you think the same? Zhao Yunfei's lips trembled, and tears welled up again. President Wang, you've misunderstood. My relationship with Miao Miao is completely pure. We only share the bond of having grown up together. After you disappeared, Miao Miao had an emotional breakdown and had several times contemplated suicide. I was afraid something would happen to her, so I moved in to take care of her. Going to the Maldives was also to help her relax and clear her mind. There was no other intention. Contemplated suicide. I caught the key phrase. Why did Miao Miao feel so desperate? Of course it's because of you, Lu Miao suddenly screamed, tears streaming down her face. When you fell into the water and disappeared, your fate unknown. I cried every day, and several times I wanted to jump into the sea to join you. If Yunfei hadn't stopped me, I would have long ago. Wang Yang, saying such things now is tearing my heart apart. She wept heartbreakingly, throwing herself into Zhao Yunfei's arms. Zhao Yunfei held her, gently patting her back, then looked up at me with a reproachful gaze. President Wang, Miao Miao has had a really hard time these past 6 months. Now that you're back, instead of comforting her properly, you're questioning her like this. How is she supposed to bear it? What a deeply affectionate and moving scene. If I had lost my memory, if I had truly loved Lu Miao, I would probably have softened, felt guilty, blamed myself, and then knelt down to beg for her forgiveness by now. Unfortunately, I have no memory nor any love. Sorry, I said, my tone completely flat. I've lost my memory and don't remember how deep your feelings were. Since Mr. Zhao only sees Miao Miao as a sister, then I'm relieved. Lu Miao's cries faltered. Zhao Yunfei was also stunned, seemingly unprepared for my reaction. Besides, I continued, I heard from people at the company that Mr. Zhao has frequently visited the Wang Group over the past 6 months and has been involved in numerous project decisions. I'd like to ask, in what capacity did Mr. Zhao participate? As far as I know, you are neither an employee nor a shareholder of the Wang Group. Zhao Yunfei's expression completely froze. Lu Miao lifted her head from Zhao Yunfei's embrace, her eyes red and swollen, but her gaze had already turned cold. Yang, are you interrogating Yunfei? I'm just curious, I said. After all, Wang Group is my company. It's only natural that an outsider frequently interfering should have to explain themselves. Outsider? Lu Miao stood up, her voice rising. Wang Yang, let me say this again. Yunfei is not an outsider. He is my family. For the past 6 months, with the company leaderless, it was Yunfei who helped me strategize and stabilize the situation. Without him, the company would have collapsed long ago. Not only do you fail to appreciate him, but you're here being sarcastic and passive-aggressive. Do you have any conscience at all? Conscience? I laughed, slowly standing up and walking over to her, looking down at her from above. Lu Miao, you're talking to me about conscience. She was frightened by the coldness in my eyes and took a half-step back. I disappeared at sea for half a year, and you never once looked for me. Yet, while my body was still cold, you went on vacation to the Maldives with your family, smiling so happily in your social media posts. I spoke slowly and deliberately. Now, you're embezzling company funds, placing your cronies in key positions, and hollowing out my company, and you still have the nerve to talk to me about conscience. Lu Miao's face turned deathly pale, her lips trembling as she struggled to say a word. Zhao Yunfei quickly stood up and stepped in front of her. President Wang, you've misunderstood Miao Miao. She's been looking for you every day for the past 6 months, but what do you mean? I interrupted him, just too busy transferring assets to make time. Wang Yang, Lu Miao shrieked, you're slandering me. Everything I did was for the company. For you, you disappeared, and there were so many employees to feed and so many projects to keep running. If I hadn't held things together, who would have? Now you come back, with no memory of anything, spouting nonsense based on a few documents. Do you have any heart at all? My heart, I pointed to my chest, died half a year ago, on that deserted island. I walked to the door and glanced back at them. Lu Miao was crying, but her eyes were filled with anger and resentment. Zhao Yunfei held her, seemingly comforting her, but a triumphant smile curled at the corner of his lips. He thought I was still the same Wang Yang who was completely under Lu Miao's control, believing that this argument would drive Lu Miao and me apart for good, allowing him to reap the benefits. Too naive. Tomorrow night at 7, Golden Summit Club, VIP 888, I suddenly said to Zhao Yunfei. His smile froze. What, aren't you meeting with Mr. Huang from Singapore to sell my patent? I smiled. Take me along. I'd like to see who dares to buy something that belongs to Wang Yang. With that, I pulled open the door and walked out. The door closed behind me, cutting off Lu Miao's sobs and Zhao Yunfei's stunned expression. The elevator descended, my face reflected in the metal walls, expressionless, eyes cold. The scar on my wrist throbbed faintly. The real show was just beginning. Chapter 5. That night, I had a dream. The dream was fragmented and distorted, like a shattered mirror, each piece reflecting fragments of the past. I saw my 20-year-old self, wearing faded jeans, submitting resumes at the job market, rejected by countless companies, and finally squatting on the curb, chewing on a cold steamed bun. I saw my 25-year-old self, typing code in a cramped rental apartment, staying up for 3 consecutive nights, finally completing the first successful app, selling it for $500,000, and hugging the laptop while crying and laughing, seeing myself at 28, standing before the floor-to-ceiling windows of the new Wang Group office, gazing down at the city below. I said to Lu Miao behind me, "Meow meow, once the company goes public, we'll get married." Lu Miao hugged me from behind, pressing her face against my back, her voice gentle, "Yang, I don't want the company to go public, I just want you to be safe and healthy." Then the scene shifted. It was Zhao Yunfei, pale-faced, lying in a hospital bed, holding Lu Miao's hand, his voice faint and trembling. "Meow meow, don't blame President Wang, it's my fault, I shouldn't have appeared in front of you. If I die, it'll be fine. Once I'm dead, no one will stand in your way." Lu Miao wept uncontrollably, turned around, and screamed at me, "Wang Yang, are you satisfied now? If anything happens to Yunfei, I will never forgive you in this life." I saw myself bowing my head again and again, apologizing repeatedly, after Zhao Yunfei swallowed the pills, after his car accident, after his heart attack, and after countless meticulously orchestrated frames. I saw Lu Miao's gaze shift from tenderness to impatience, from love to contempt. I saw Zhao Yunfei hiding behind Lu Miao, flashing me a smug, provocative smile. Finally, there was that yacht, the argument on the deck, Zhao Yunfei jumping into the sea, Lu Miao's slap, and the cold look in her eyes when she pushed me into the water. Yunfei has grown up with me since childhood. Our bond is something you can never compare to. If he suffers even the slightest grievance, it's your fault. Stay on this deserted island and reflect. When he forgives you, I'll come to pick you up. Seawater flooded my ears and nose as I struggled to sink. My head struck a hidden reef, and a sharp pain shot through me. Then came the long darkness, and the rough, warm hands of Uncle Chen. "Young man, you've got a strong will to live. President Wang, you finally reached out to me. Yang, you're back, that's wonderful. Wang Yang, you're slandering me." Countless voices intertwined, countless images overlapped, shattered, and reassembled. Finally, it froze in the living room of Zhao Yunfei's home, where he held the weeping Lu Miao, a triumphant smile curling at the corner of his mouth. I suddenly opened my eyes. The sky was still dark, and the hotel room was pitch black. I sat up, drenched in cold sweat, my heart pounding wildly in my chest as if about to burst. Memories surged like a flood breaking through a dam. 30 years of life, from the orphanage to starting a business, from meeting Lu Miao to being pushed into the sea. Every frame was painfully vivid. I remember being abandoned at the entrance of the welfare home at the age of 5. The director, whom I called Mom, carried me inside and gave me a name, Wang Yang, meaning to grow toward the sun. I remember being 10 years old, fighting over a steamed bun with older kids, my head battered and bleeding, yet I clung to it tightly, refusing to let go. I remember getting into university at 18, surviving 4 years through student loans and 3 part-time jobs, graduating with over 100,000 yuan in debt, yet gritting my teeth and refusing to apply for financial aid. I remember the night my first startup succeeded. I sprinted alone down the deserted streets, screaming at the sky, letting out all the grievances and despair I had carried for over 20 years. I remember meeting Lu Miao at a charity gala, where she wore a white gown, looking like a pure white gardenia. She said she admired my resilience, didn't mind my humble background, and was willing to stand by me as we built our future together. I remember the first time she held my hand, the first time she kissed me, the first time she said she loved me. I also remember the first time Zhao Yunfei appeared, at Lu Miao's birthday party, pale and thin, coughing as he said, "Meow meow, is this your boyfriend? He looks not so great." I remember countless arguments, countless times on my knees, countless, "Meow meow, I was wrong, please don't be angry." I remember the coldness and determination in her eyes when she pushed me into the sea. I remember everything, all of it. I pulled back the covers and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. At 4 in the morning, the city was still asleep, with only scattered lights glowing. My face was reflected in the glass. Pale, gloomy, my eyes filled with icy hatred. Wang Yang, 30 years old, starting from scratch, with a billion-dollar fortune, yet I was plotted against by my fiancée and her childhood sweetheart, nearly losing my life at sea. And now, I have returned, carrying a body full of scars and a heart that has died once. I didn't turn on the lights, standing in the darkness for a long time. Only when the sky began to lighten at dawn did I pick up my phone and dial Lin Zhe's number. The phone connected almost instantly. "President Wang, Lin Zhe's Voice was clear, obviously also staying up late. Attorney Lin, my voice was frighteningly calm. I've regained my memory. There was a 2-second silence on the other end of the line, followed by the sound of a chair being pulled back. Linja's breathing quickened slightly. All of it, everything. When, just now, I said, I had a very long dream, and when I woke up, I remembered everything. So you. I'll still pretend to have amnesia, I interrupted him. Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei think I'm easy to control because of my supposed memory loss, and I want them to keep thinking that, until they stick their own necks under the guillotine. Linja laughed on the other end of the phone, his voice tinged with approval and a hint of ruthlessness. President Wang, I've been waiting half a year for you to say that. Tell me, what's next? 3 things. I walked over to my desk, turned on the lamp, and pulled out paper and pen. First, I want the 15% equity held by Chen Shoujing transferred to my control immediately, but keep it confidential. Lu Miao must not find out. It's already in progress. Old Chen signed the authorization letter yesterday, and he can transfer the equity back to you at any time. However, President Wang, I must remind you that even with this additional 15%, your total stake will only be 26%. Lu Miao currently holds 51%, so she remains the absolute controlling shareholder. I know, I wrote 51% on the paper, so the second thing is needed. I want evidence of all the illegal asset transfers Lu Miao has made over the past 6 months, especially the financial transactions between her, Zhao Yunfei, and the Zhao Group, embezzlement, misappropriation of funds, money laundering. Whatever charges are the most serious, use them. Within 3 days, I want to see a complete chain of evidence. That's a bit challenging, but it can be done. Zhao Yunfei doesn't cover his tracks well enough. I already have some evidence on hand. Give me 3 more days, and it'll be enough to nail him. However, Lu Miao is very cautious. She doesn't handle many things directly. Most of it is done through Zhao Yunfei. Then start with Zhao Yunfei. I circled Zhao Yunfei's name on the paper. Tomorrow night's dinner at the Golden Cauldron Club is a good opportunity. What's the third thing? Third, I put down the pen and looked out the window at the gradually brightening sky. I want Zhao Yunfei dead. There was silence on the other end of the phone. After a long while, Linja finally spoke, his voice low. Mr. Wang, I can understand how you feel, but murder is against the law. We can make him pay through legal means. There's no need to. Lawyer Lin, I smiled. You've misunderstood. I won't do it myself. I want Lu Miao to personally send him to hell. What do you mean? Does Lu Miao love Zhao Yunfei? I asked. She probably loves him, at least. She acts as if she's deeply in love with him. No, I shook my head. Lu Miao only loves herself. She was with me before because I could provide her with dignity, wealth, and social status. Now she's with Zhao Yunfei because he can help her take control of the company and allow her to become a true powerhouse. But there's a condition. Zhao Yunfei has to be obedient and useful. I paused for a moment before continuing. What if Zhao Yunfei becomes a useless burden, a criminal who drags her down? Do you think Lu Miao would choose to live and die with him, or would she kick him aside without hesitation, even step on him to prove her innocence? Linja gasped sharply. You want to make Zhao Yunfei commit a crime and then have Lu Miao report him? Not exactly. I leaned back in my chair, looking up at the ceiling. I want Zhao Yunfei to believe that he's about to get everything. My company, my patents, my money, even my woman. I want him to soar to the clouds, and then, with my own hands, drag him down and shatter him into pieces, and in this process, Lu Miao will be the best catalyst. How exactly? Have you arranged tomorrow night's dinner meeting? All arranged. I contacted Mr. Huang through an intermediary and hinted that the Wang Group's patents have issues involving commercial espionage and intellectual property disputes. Mr. Huang is very cautious and agreed to meet with you before the dinner. I've sent the time and location to your phone. Good. I stood up, walked to the bathroom, and looked at the familiar yet unfamiliar face in the mirror. Tell Mr. Huang that I'm not trying to stop the deal. I want to make an even bigger business with him. An even bigger business. Zhao Yunfei wants to sell him the patent, which is the core technology developed by the Wang Group 3 years ago, valued at least 500 million, but Zhao Yunfei doesn't understand technology. He thinks those patent documents are everything. In reality, the true core algorithms and source code are in my hands. Without those, the patent is just a pile of worthless paper. Linja laughed. I see, you plan to use the real thing to swap out Zhao Yunfei's fake deal, then turn around and sue him for commercial fraud and theft of trade secrets. Not just that. I turned on the faucet, splashed cold water on my face, and looked up, water droplets dripping from my chin. I want Zhao Yunfei to sign that contract, the one that could land him in prison for 10 years, right in front of Lu Miao, and Lu Miao will be there, smiling and applauding for him. After hanging up the phone, I dried my face and started changing clothes, a black suit, a white shirt, no tie, the reflection in the mirror had cold eyes, with a faint, almost imperceptible smile at the corners of the lips. The scar on the wrist was particularly glaring in the morning light. I ran my fingers over the scar, its rough texture reminding me that everything that had happened in the past 6 months was not a dream. I am Wang Yang, I crawled back from hell, and now, it's time to send certain people to hell. At 9 in the morning, Zhao Ziming came to pick me up on time. His attitude today was even more respectful, even carrying a hint of fear. It seems that my questioning of Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei yesterday has already reached his ears. Mr. Wang, Mr. Lu said there's a board meeting at the company today. Would you like to attend? In the car, Zhao Ziming asked cautiously, what's on the agenda? It's a proposal to sell off some patent assets. Zhao Ziming's voice grew quieter. Mr. Lu said that since you've lost your memory, you might not understand, so I'm not being invited. I looked at him, sweat beaded on Zhao Ziming's forehead. No, Mr. Lu's point is that you may attend the meeting as an observer, but you won't be allowed to vote. After all, given your current health condition, I'll go, I interrupted. If it's just as an observer, then so be it. Zhao Ziming dared not say more and drove in silence all the way. When I arrived at the company, I noticed the atmosphere was clearly off. The receptionist avoided my gaze when she saw me, quickly bowing her head to offer a hurried greeting. Passing employees also averted their eyes, pretending to be busy. It seems Lu Miao has already made the necessary arrangements. The conference room is on the top floor. When I arrived, everyone was already present. More than a dozen people were seated along both sides of the long table, some familiar faces and others unfamiliar. Lu Miao sat at the head of the table, with Zhao Yunfei to his left, and an empty seat to his right. That used to be my seat. As I entered, the conference room fell silent. Lu Miao stood up, wearing a polite smile. Yang is here. Please, take a seat. Ziming, pour some tea for Mr. Wang. I sat down in that empty seat, and right across from me was Zhao Yunfei. He was wearing a light gray suit today, his hair neatly combed, looking quite spirited, though his face was still pale, and his eyes were evasive, not daring to meet my gaze. President Wang, an elderly man with graying hair, spoke up. He was one of my partners from the early days of my startup, surnamed Zhou. I usually called him Uncle Zhou. I heard you're back. How's your health? Not bad, thank you for your concern, Uncle Zhou, I replied with a smile. Uncle Zhou looked at me with a complicated expression, as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. All right, everyone's here, let's get started. Lu Miao tapped the table. Today's agenda is to discuss the sale of some of the company's non-core patent assets to alleviate financial pressure. Mr. Zhao will provide the details. Zhao Yunfei stood up, turned on the projector, and a slide appeared on the screen, filled with obscure technical jargon and patent numbers. Distinguished directors, Wang Group is currently facing severe financial pressure. Zhao Yunfei's voice was gentle, yet carried a deliberately measured tone. Due to Mr. Wang's unfortunate disappearance over the past 6 months, several key projects have stalled. Banks have withdrawn credit lines, suppliers are demanding payment, and the company's cash flow has dried up. To maintain normal operations, Mr. Lu and I have carefully considered our options and decided to sell some non-core patents in exchange for working capital. Non-core patents, a younger director frowned. Mr. Xiao, the patents you've listed include Smart Algorithm 3.0 and Cloud Architecture v2. These are the core technologies for the company's next 3 years. How can they be considered non-core? Chairman Li, Zhao Yunfei smiled. You may not be aware that although these technologies are advanced, their R&D costs are high and market adoption is slow. What the company urgently needs right now is cash flow, not the future. Selling them will bring in at least 200 million yuan, enough to keep the company afloat through this winter. But, there's no but, Lu Miao interrupted Chairman Li, her tone firm. I am the company's general manager and the largest shareholder. I've already made the decision. The board meeting today is just a formality to inform everyone. The conference room fell into a deathly silence. Several senior board members looked displeased but remained silent. Only Uncle Zhou stood up shakily and said, Xiao Miao, these patents are the result of Wang Yang's hard work. He and his team spent countless sleepless nights developing them. How can you decide to sell them just like that? Have you even asked Wang Yang for his opinion? All eyes turned to me. Lu Miao also looked at me, her gaze carrying a warning and a hint of pleading. She was begging me not to speak up, not to cause trouble. I picked up my teacup, took a slow, deliberate sip, then looked up with a puzzled expression. What patents? Are they really that valuable? Lu Miao visibly let out a sigh of relief. Zhao Yunfei curled his lips into a smug smile. Uncle Zhou closed his eyes in disappointment and sat down. Since President Wang has no objections either, it's settled then, Lu Miao declared decisively. Mr. Xiao, continue negotiating with Singapore's boss Huang. The price can be discussed further, but payment must be made in one lump sum. All right, meow meow. Zhao Yunfei sat down, giving Lu Miao a gentle smile. Watching their flirtatious exchange, I sneered inwardly. By the way, I suddenly spoke up, Mr. Xiao, what does that Singaporean Mr. Huang you mentioned do? Is he reliable? Zhao Yunfei's smile remained unchanged. Mr. Huang is a top-tier tech investor in Singapore, with a clean background and strong capabilities. Rest assured, Mr. Wang, this deal will only bring benefits to the Wang family, no downsides. Oh, I nodded, then asked, so you've prepared all the patent documents, don't miss anything or sell the wrong ones. Zhao Yunfei's expression stiffened for a moment but quickly returned to normal. Of course, they're ready, all the patent certificates, technical documents, and legal paperwork are complete. That's good. I smiled, but I've heard that with high-tech patents, sometimes there are hidden core algorithms not included in the documents. Are you sure what you have is the complete version? The meeting room fell silent again. Zhao Yunfei stared at me, a flicker of panic flashing in his eyes before quickly being suppressed. President Wang, you're joking. I studied finance, not technology, but since Meow Meow entrusted this matter to me, I naturally had to handle it properly. All the documents were provided by the technology department, so there shouldn't be any errors. The technology department. I turned to Lu Miao. What about the former technology director, old Zhang? He should know best the value of these patents. Lu Miao's expression changed slightly. Old Zhang resigned half a year ago. The current technology director was recommended by Mr. Xiao, Director Wang. She gestured toward a bespectacled, portly man sitting at the end of the table. The man quickly stood up, nodding and bowing obsequiously. Hello, President Wang, my name is Wang Wei. I used to be in charge of technology at Zhao Group, and now I'm at Wang Group. The Zhao Group. I raised an eyebrow. The technical director of the Wang Group transferred from the Zhao Group. That doesn't seem to follow proper procedure, does it? Yang. Lu Miao's voice turned cold. Director Wang is highly capable, and we're in a critical period. Don't get bogged down in such details. True, I nodded, and said no more. The meeting continued, but the atmosphere had clearly shifted. Several senior directors exchanged glances, and Uncle Zhou looked at me with deep disappointment and sorrow in his eyes. I pretended not to see it and lowered my head to drink my tea. After the meeting, Lu Miao called me into her office. She closed the door, and the gentleness on her face instantly vanished, replaced by anger and accusation. Wang Yang, what did you mean just now? Were you deliberately trying to embarrass me and Yunfei? Did I? I looked at her innocently. I was just asking. After all, those patents are the fruit of my labor, even though I don't remember them anymore. Shouldn't I at least show some concern? You. Lu Miao's chest heaved as she took several deep breaths to suppress her anger. Yang, I know you've lost your memory and don't understand the company's affairs, but Yunfei is the person I trust the most, and every decision he makes is for the good of the company. Please stop targeting him all the time. Okay, I'm not targeting him, I said. I just think such an important transaction should be handled more carefully. What if the patent is sold too cheaply or to the wrong party? The loss would be the company's interests, and yours too, wouldn't it? Lu Miao stared at me for a long time, as if trying to determine whether I was truly naive or just pretending. In the end, she probably concluded that someone with amnesia couldn't possibly be so cunning. Her expression softened as she walked over and took my hand. Yang, I know you mean well for the company, but right now, you need to rest and recover your memory. Leave the company matters to Yunfei and me. Okay, when you're better, the company will still be yours. I don't want anything. I'll give it all back to you. She spoke with genuine emotion, tears welling up in her eyes. If it were the old me, I would have softened and believed her, but now, I only feel disgusted. All right, I withdrew my hand and smiled. I'll do as you say. By the way, can I join the dinner tomorrow night? I'd like to meet Mr. Huang. After all, it's such a significant transaction. Lu Miao hesitated. If it's inconvenient, forget it. I turned to leave. Wait, she called after me. Go ahead if you want to, but, Yang, promise me you won't say anything out of place. Leave everything to Yunfei. Okay, I nodded. Leaving Lu Miao's office, Zhao Yunfei was waiting in the corridor. Seeing me, he flashed a hypocritical smile and said, Director Wang, thank you for your support in the meeting just now. It was only right, I replied with a smile. It's all for the company. We exchanged smiles, each harboring our own ulterior motives. The moment I turned around, the smile vanished from my face, replaced by a gaze as cold as a blade. Zhao Yunfei, Lu Miao, enjoy your last moments. After tomorrow night, you will learn what it means to walk through the gates of hell when they were never open to you. Chapter 6, 6:50 p.m., Golden Summit Club. This club is nestled on the most secluded mountainside in Binhai City. Its exterior is a low-key Chinese-style courtyard, but the interior is extravagantly luxurious. Membership is exclusive, with annual fees in the 7 figures. Only the wealthy and powerful can enter here. I stood outside VIP room 888, staring at the heavy pearwood door. A warm yellow light seeped through the crack, accompanied by faint laughter and conversation. Zhao Yunfei's voice, Lu Miao's laughter, and an unfamiliar man's voice with a distinct Southeast Asian accent. Mr. Wang, you've arrived. Linja walked over from the far end of the corridor. Today he was wearing a dark gray suit and gold-rimmed glasses, appearing refined and composed, except for his eyes behind the lenses, which were sharp as an eagle's. Is everything arranged? I didn't turn around. It's all set. Linja stood beside me and lowered his voice. Mr. Huang's real name is Huang Qiming. He is a Singaporean Chinese who built his fortune in tech investment, with a net worth in the tens of billions, but he has one defining trait. He deeply despises commercial fraud and betrayal. I had someone accidentally reveal that Zhao Yunfei forged patent documents with the intent to defraud funds. He's already suspicious of Zhao Yunfei now. Good, I nodded. What about old Chen's side? The equity transfer procedures have been completed. You now hold 26% of the Wang Group's shares in your name, plus the 15% held by old Chen on your behalf, making a total of 41%. However, Lu Miao holds 51% and still has controlling interest. She won't be for long, I said, pushing the door open. The chatter and laughter in the private room came to an abrupt halt. It was a large private room of nearly 100 square meters, with a redwood round table in the center that could seat 20 people. Fine porcelain and crystal glasses were arranged on the table. Zhao Yunfei sat at the head of the table, with Lu Miao on his left and a man in his early 50s with slick back hair and a tang suit on his right. Likely Huang Qiming. A few more people were at the table, men and women alike. I glanced around and recognized two of them as Zhao Yunfei's friends, while the others were likely assistants and lawyers brought by Huang Qiming. Mr. Wang has arrived. Zhao Yunfei stood up, beaming with a smile. Come, please sit down, Mr. Huang. This is Mr. Wang Yang, the founder of our Wang Group. Mr. Wang, this is Mr. Huang Qiming from Singapore. Huang Qiming also stood up and extended his hand to me. He was not tall, but he carried a strong presence, with sharp eyes and a firm grip when he shook my hand. Mr. Wang, it's an honor to finally meet you, Huang Qiming said, his Mandarin carrying a distinct Southeast Asian accent. I attended your speech at the Singapore Tech Summit 3 years ago and was deeply impressed. I never expected to meet you in person today. You're too kind, Mr. Huang. I smiled. Please, have a seat. Lu Miao's expression was somewhat subtle. She probably hadn't expected Huang Qiming to be so polite to me. She secretly shot Zhao Yunfei a glare, and Zhao Yunfei quickly smoothed things over. Mr. Wang had an accident half a year ago and lost his memory. He doesn't remember many things. Please bear with him. Lost his memory. Huang Qiming raised an eyebrow, scrutinizing me carefully. Mr. Wang doesn't seem like someone who's lost his memory. I just don't remember the past, but my basic cognitive abilities are still intact, I said, taking a seat opposite Zhao Yunfei. Linja naturally sat down beside me. This move made Zhao Yunfei pause for a moment. He looked at Linja, then at me. President Wang, who is this? My lawyer, Linja, I introduced. Mr. Huang should know him. He's the best criminal lawyer in Binhai City. Huang Qiming looked at Linja, his expression thoughtful. Lawyer Lin, I've heard of you. 3 years ago, in that transnational commercial espionage case, you helped a Chinese-owned enterprise win. It was impressive. You flatter me. Mr. Huang, Linja smiled, took out a business card from his briefcase, and handed it over with both hands. The atmosphere is a bit delicate. Zhao Yunfei was visibly flustered. He had arranged this dinner to showcase his capabilities in front of Lu Miao, secure the deal, and solidify his position within the Wang family. He hadn't expected me to bring a lawyer, let alone that Huang Qiming would treat me with such courtesy. Let's serve the dishes first, Zhao Yunfei said with a nervous laugh. Boss Huang, I specially prepared Australian lobster and Iberian ham for you. Please give it a try. The waiter began serving the dishes, with exquisite courses arriving one after another, yet the atmosphere at the table grew increasingly tense. Huang Qiming barely touched his chopsticks, his gaze fixed on me the entire time. Director Wang, he suddenly spoke up, I heard that you have the complete source code for Intelligent Algorithm 3.0 in your possession. Zhao Yunfei's expression changed abruptly. Lu Miao was also stunned, turning to look at Zhao Yunfei with a questioning look in his eyes. Didn't you say the patent documents were complete? How is there still source code? Mr. Huang is very well informed. I set down my chopsticks and wiped my mouth with a napkin. Indeed, there is, however, that is my personal technical achievement and does not fall under the patent assets of the Wang Group. Wang Yang. Lu Miao couldn't help but speak up. What do you mean it doesn't? Belong to the company, you're the founder of the company, your technical achievements naturally belong to the company. Is that so? I looked at her. Meow meow, you may have forgotten, Intelligent Algorithm 3.0 was something I personally developed before founding the Wang Group. Later, I licensed it to the company for use, but the intellectual property has always remained under my personal name. Several of the earliest senior members of the company know about this, and Uncle Zhou can testify to it. Lu Miao's face turned pale, her fingers tightly clutching the napkin. Zhao Yunfei quickly stepped in to smooth things over. Mr. Wang, are you sure you're remembering correctly? The documents from the technology department show that the patent for Smart Algorithm 3.0 belongs to the company. Look, I even brought the patent certificate. He gestured to the assistant beside him, who hurriedly took a folder out of his briefcase and handed it to Huang Qiming with both hands. Huang Qiming took it but didn't open it, casually setting it aside. I have plenty of patent certificates, Huang Qiming said, looking at Zhao Yunfei with a scrutinizing gaze. Mr. Zhao, I've been in tech investment for over 20 years, and I've seen too many people using fake patents and shell technologies to scam money. Do you know what kind of person I hate the most? Sweat beaded on Zhao Yunfei's forehead. Boss Huang, what do you mean by that? Our Wang Group is a legitimate company, and these patents are all genuine. Genuine, Huang Qiming smiled, a cold smile. Then why did my technical team, after evaluating them, tell me that your patent documents are missing the 3 core algorithmic architectures? Without those 3 architectures, these patents are nothing but a pile of waste paper, worth less than $1 million. The private room fell into a deathly silence. Zhao Yunfei's face turned from pale to red, then to a ghastly white. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but no sound came out. Lu Miao suddenly stood up, glaring at Zhao Yunfei. Yunfei, what's going on? Didn't you say all the patents were in order? Then what about the 3-stage algorithm? I don't know. Zhao Yunfei panicked. That's all the documents the technical department gave me. Wang Wei said everything was complete. Wang Wei, I raised an eyebrow. Oh, the technical director transferred from the Zhao Group. I heard he lost 20 million at a casino in Macau last month and is now being pursued by debt collectors. Mr. Zhao, don't tell me you paid off his gambling debts in exchange for him forging documents for you. Wang Yang, you're slandering me. Zhao Yunfei also stood up, his face twisted with fury. Wang Wei is a professional technician. How could he possibly? Professional? Linja suddenly spoke up, taking another document from his briefcase and sliding it onto the table. Mr. Zhao, this is Wang Wei's academic credentials and work history. He never studied computer science. He majored in marketing and previously worked in sales at Zhao Group. As for how he became the technical director at Wang Corporation, I think you should know best. The document lay open, clearly detailing Wang Wei's resume. A vocational school diploma, major in marketing, 10 years of sales experience, with no technical background whatsoever. Lu Miao snatched the document, her fingers trembling as she flipped through it. The more she read, the paler her face became. Yunfei, her voice quivered. Is this true? You let a salesperson become the technical director? Meow meow, listen to my explanation. Zhao Yunfei reached out to grab Lu Miao's hand, but she pulled it away. Explain what? Explain how you deceived me. Explain how you used a bunch of fake documents to try and sell the company's most valuable patent. Lu Miao's eyes reddened, not from sadness, but from anger. Zhao Yunfei, I trusted you so much, handed the company over to you, and this is how you treat me. I didn't deceive you, I did it for the company. Zhao Yunfei shouted hoarsely, the company is out of money. If we don't sell the patent, we won't even be able to pay next month's salaries. I had no choice. No choice. I laughed, stood up as well, and walked over to Zhao Yunfei, looking at his face twisted by anger and fear. Mr. Zhao, when you embezzled company funds to bail out your father's Zhao Group, did you say you had no choice? When you forged contracts and transferred 20 million from the company to a shell company, did you say you had no choice? Now that you've drained the company dry, you think of selling the patent, and still use fake documents to deceive people. I spoke every word slowly and clearly, my voice low, yet each syllable struck like a blade, piercing straight into Zhao Yunfei's heart. You're lying. Zhao Yunfei stumbled backward half a step, colliding with his chair. I didn't embezzle any funds. Those were all legitimate business transactions. Is that so? Linja produced another document. This is a detailed breakdown of the funds transferred from Wang Group to Zhao Group and its affiliated companies over the past 6 months, totaling 86 million yuan. Here are the bank statements, here are the contracts, and here is Zhao Group's financial audit report, which shows that during the same period, Zhao Group received exactly 86 million yuan in funds from unknown sources. Mr. Zhao, would you like me to invite officers from the Economic Crime Investigation Detachment to explain in detail what occupational embezzlement means? Zhao Yunfei's legs gave way, and he collapsed into his chair, his face ashen. Lu Miao was also stunned. She looked at the document, then at Zhao Yunfei, her lips trembling, unable to utter a word. Brilliant, truly brilliant. Huang Qiming suddenly began to applaud, a playful smile on his face. I originally thought tonight was just an ordinary business dinner. I never expected to witness such a grand spectacle. He turned to me and asked, Director Wang, so you have the complete, intelligent algorithm 3.0, including those 3 core architectures? Yes, I nodded, willing to sell. No, I said, but I'm willing to collaborate with Mr. Huang. How do you plan to collaborate? I will contribute the complete technology and source code of Intelligent Algorithm 3.0 as equity in Mr. Huang's technology fund in Singapore, taking a 30% stake. At the same time, I will establish a new technology company dedicated to the research, development, and licensing of artificial intelligence algorithms. Mr. Huang can invest in this company or become a strategic partner. Huang Qiming's eyes lit up. Interesting. And what about your current Wang Group? Wang Group, I said, looking at Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei with a smile, has been hollowed out, nothing but an empty shell, but the shell still has some use. If you're interested, Mr. Huang, we could work together to buy it back at the lowest possible price. Buy it back? Huang Qiming raised an eyebrow. Aren't you the founder? Why would you need to buy it? I currently only hold 26% of the shares, I replied. Miss Lu Miao holds 51%, making her the controlling shareholder. However, if Miss Lu is willing to sell her shares, I won't sell, Lu Miao screamed. Wang Yang, don't even think about it, the company is mine, you can't take it away. Yours. I turned around, looking at her with icy eyes. Lu Miao, do I need to remind you how you got that 51% stake? Do I need to bring out that equity transfer agreement you tricked me into signing, so everyone can see how you forced me to hand over the company to you when I was gravely ill? Lu Miao's face turned deathly pale. She took a step back, bumping into the table and causing the cups and plates to clatter, and I continued, stepping closer to her, do I need to remind you how you pushed me off the yacht half a year ago and ordered the crew not to save me? Do I need to bring in the crew from that day to confront you? You're talking nonsense, Lu Miao's voice was sharp, but clearly lacking confidence. I didn't push you, you fell on your own, the crew can testify. Is that so? I smiled, took out my phone, and played a recording. It was Lu Miao's voice from that day on the yacht, clearly coming from the phone. Yunfei and I grew up together. How can your feelings compare to ours? If he suffers even the slightest grievance, it's your fault. Reflect on this deserted island. When he forgives you, I'll come back to pick you up. Then came another voice, that of the captain, hesitant. Miss Lu, this is international waters. Mr. Wang can't swim. Set sail. Anyone who dares to save him will be opposing both the Lu and Zhao families. The recording ended. The private room fell into a deathly silence. Lu Miao stared at me with wide eyes, unable to believe what she was hearing. When did you record this? My phone has an automatic recording feature, and it happened to be on that day. I put my phone away and looked at Huang Qiming. Boss Huang, do you now understand why I bought back this company? Huang Qiming looked at Lu Miao, his eyes filled with undisguised disgust. Miss Lu, the thing I, Huang Qiming, hate most in my life is treachery and murder for profit. You've really opened my eyes today. No, Boss Huang, please let me explain. Lu Miao panicked, tears welling up. It was an accident that day. Wang Yang bullied Yunfei first, and I got angry in the moment. In a moment of anger, you pushed your fiancé into the sea and left him to fend for himself. Huang Qiming sneered. Miss Lu, your heart is more venomous than a snake or scorpion. Lu Miao cried even harder, but this time, no one sympathized with her. Zhao Yunfei slumped in his chair, his eyes vacant, as if his soul had left him. All right. Huang Qiming stood up, straightening his tang suit. Mr. Wang, I'm very interested in your proposal. Let's find some time tomorrow to discuss the details. As for tonight, he glanced at Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei, his tone indifferent. I don't want to see these two again. Waiter, the bill. Boss Huang, I'll pay. Zhao Yunfei suddenly jumped up, rushed to Huang Qiming, and grabbed his sleeve. Boss Huang, give me another chance. I was wrong about the patent, but I can fix it. Huang still has many high-quality assets. I can. Let go. Huang Qiming's voice was icy. Zhao Yunfei didn't let go, still pleading. The bodyguard behind Huang Qiming stepped forward, grabbing Zhao Yunfei's arm and twisting it behind his back. Zhao Yunfei let out a cry of pain and fell to his knees. Boss Huang, have mercy. Zhao Yunfei wailed. Lu Miao tried to intervene but was blocked by the bodyguard. Miss Lu, Mr. Zhao. Huang Qiming looked at them as if they were two dogs. I'll give you a piece of advice. Within 3 days, return all the funds you illegally transferred from the Wang Group. Otherwise, I won't mind personally reporting you to the police and letting you Spend the rest of your lives in prison. After saying that, he turned and left. At the door, he glanced back at me. President Wang, see you in my office tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. Absolutely, I nodded. Wang Qiming left, along with his people. Only I, Lin Jie, Lu Miao, Zhao Yunfei, and a few stunned waiters remained in the private room. Zhao Yunfei was still kneeling on the ground, his arm dislocated by the bodyguard, his face pale with pain, cold sweat pouring down. Lu Miao stood there, her face streaked with tears, her makeup smudged, her hair disheveled, looking like a madwoman. I walked up to her, bent down, and whispered in her ear, "Meow meow, now do you know what karma is?" She shuddered, looked up at me, her eyes filled with fear, resentment, and a hint of bewilderment. "You haven't lost your memory," she murmured, "you've been deceiving me all along." Likewise. I straightened up and adjusted my suit cuffs. "You deceived me for 3 years, and I deceived you for 3 days, fair enough, right?" "Wang Yang," she suddenly screamed, lunging forward to hit me. Linja stepped forward, blocking her. "Miss Lu, I suggest you calm down," Linja said calmly. "You are currently suspected of embezzlement, commercial fraud, and attempted murder, with multiple charges combined. You face at least 20 years. If you cooperate now and return the money, you might still have a chance for leniency." "I didn't kill anyone," Lu Miao roared. "He fell on his own. I didn't push him." "Save those words for the police," I said, taking out my phone and dialing 110. "Hello, I'd like to report a crime at the VIP 888 private room of Jinding Club. Someone is suspected of embezzlement and commercial fraud, involving an exceptionally large sum of money." "Wang Yang, how dare you?" Lu Miao tried to snatch my phone but was firmly restrained by Lin Jie. Zhao Yunfei scrambled up from the floor, his eyes wild with rage. He grabbed a wine bottle from the table and charged at me, shouting, "I'll kill you." I didn't dodge, because Lin Jie's bodyguard, who had been hiding outside the door, burst in at that moment and kicked Zhao Yunfei in the stomach. Zhao Yunfei let out a sharp cry as he was sent flying 2 or 3 meters back, crashing into the wall. The wine bottle shattered, splattering red wine and shards of glass all over the floor. He curled up on the ground, clutching his stomach, and groaned in pain. The sound of sirens grew louder as they approached. Lu Miao slumped to the ground, his eyes vacant, as if completely broken down. I walked to the window and looked at the city lights below the mountain. The scar on his wrist glowed a dull red under the light. It no longer hurt, but the chill remained. "Mr. Wang," Linja approached me and whispered, "the police have arrived. What do you intend to do?" "Act according to the law." I looked out the window, my voice calm. "Those who should go to prison will go to prison. Those who should repay their debts will repay their debts. As for me," I turned around and looked at the disheveled man and woman on the ground. "I want them to live a fate worse than death." Chapter 7. The red and blue lights of the police cars flashed at the entrance of the Golden Summit Club, shattering the tranquility of the mountain night. Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei were escorted into 2 separate police cars. Lu Miao kept her head down the entire time, her disheveled hair covering her face, but her body trembled uncontrollably. Zhao Yunfei, on the other hand, was dragged like a dead dog by 2 police officers, his pants soaked. He had wet himself out of fear. I stood on the steps at the club entrance, watching coldly as the police cars drove away. Linja stood beside me and whispered, "Boss Wang, both the economic crime and criminal investigation units will be involved. Embezzlement and commercial fraud fall under the jurisdiction of the Economic Crime Investigation Department, while attempted murder is handled by the Criminal Investigation Department. I've already spoken to the friends on both sides. They'll receive special attention." "How much special attention?" I asked. "To the legal limit." Linja adjusted his glasses. "The 86 million yuan Zhao Yunfei embezzled is enough to put him away for over 10 years. Although Lu Miao didn't directly handle the funds, she was the mastermind and is suspected of attempted murder. If convicted, her sentence won't be lighter than Zhao Yunfei's." I nodded and turned to walk toward my car. "Mr. Wang," Linja followed me. "There's one more thing. Lu Miao's father, Lu Jiangwo, called me half an hour ago." I stopped in my tracks. Lu Jiangwo, the owner of Lu's Building Materials, Lu Miao's father. 3 years ago, when Lu Miao and I first got together, he strongly opposed it, saying that an orphan like me wasn't good enough for his daughter. Later, when Wang's group grew bigger, he reluctantly agreed, but his attitude remained lukewarm. "What did he say?" "Begging for mercy," Linja said. "He hopes you'll show leniency and let Lu Miao off the hook. He's willing to transfer 30% of the shares in Lu's Building Materials to you as compensation." I smiled. "Tell him I don't want shares," I said, opening the car door. "I want his daughter. Let her rot in prison for the rest of her life." The car descended the mountain road, and the city lights spread out before my eyes. I rolled down the window, letting the night wind blow in, dispersing the lingering smell of alcohol and the nauseating hypocrisy from the private room. The scar on my wrist began to ache again, but this time, it was warm, as if something beneath the scar was awakening, burning. For the next 3 days, the business and media circles in Binhai City were in an uproar. Shocking scandal at Wang Group. General Manager Lu Miao suspected of attempted murder of fiancé. Childhood sweethearts team up to drain the company. Founder Wang Yang returns from the brink of death for revenge. Zhao Group heir Zhao Yunfei arrested for occupational embezzlement, involved amount nearly reaching 100 million. The news coverage was overwhelming, with 3 of the top 10 trending topics on Weibo. Netizens' comments were particularly striking, a real-life version of The Temptation of Home, but the male lead is even more pitiful. He was literally pushed into the sea to feed the fish. Is this woman insane? Turning down a fiancé worth billions to be with a sickly, useless guy. A man like Zhao Yunfei is the epitome of hypocrisy. Wanting to live off a woman while pretending to be deeply affectionate. President Wang is awesome, surviving against all odds and making a triumphant return. This is the script of a true male protagonist. I turned off my phone and leaned back in the boss chair in my office. This is the chairman's office on the top floor of the Wang Group, which I had just moved into this morning. Lu Miao's belongings had all been cleared out. Her photos and trophies on the walls, her cosmetics and ornaments on the desk, all thrown into the trash bin now. The space had returned to how it looked 3 years ago, simple, austere, with only a few technical awards on the bookshelf and an early group photo of me and the founding team. In the photo, I was 25, smiling brightly, with light in my eyes. Now, that light is gone, but something else has taken its place. Mr. Wang, Assistant Xiaochen knocked and entered, his expression somewhat excited. Good news, President Wang from the bank just called and said the 30 million yuan that was previously recalled can now be dispersed, and the interest rate can be reduced by another 0.5 percentage points. And also, Xiaochen continued, the 3 suppliers who previously terminated their cooperation with Lu Miao have all proactively reached out, expressing their willingness to resume collaboration and even extend the payment terms. Uncle Zhou has also returned. He mentioned that he has contacted most of the old employees who were pushed out by Zhao Yunfei from the technical department, and the majority are willing to come back. Understood, I nodded. Let Uncle Zhou take full charge of rebuilding the technical department. Additionally, notify HR to prepare the layoff list within 3 days. Not a single person brought in by Zhao Yunfei or Lu Miao is to remain. Yes, Xiaochen was about to leave but remembered something. Oh, by the way, Mr. Wang, Lu Jian, Mr. Lu wishes to see you. He has been waiting downstairs for an hour. I looked out the window at the entrance of the building. A black Mercedes was parked. An elderly man with graying hair stood beside the car, leaning on a cane, his back bent. Lu Jiangwo, 3 years ago, he said to my face, Wang Yang, you're not good enough for my daughter. You're an orphan with no family background and no connections. What makes you think you can marry Miao Miao? I replied at the time, Uncle Lu, I'll prove it to you. Now, I have proven it. The cost was nearly dying on a deserted island. Let him come up, I said 5 minutes later. Lu Jiangwo pushed the door open and entered. He has aged a lot. When I saw him 3 years ago, he was still spirited and stood tall, but now his face is covered in wrinkles, his eyes are sunken, and he needs a cane to walk. Wang Yang, he began, his voice hoarse. Chairman Lu, please have a seat. I didn't stand up, just gestured to the chair opposite me. Lu Jiangwo sat down, his hands gripping the cane, his knuckles white. He looked at me, his expression complex, filled with regret, a plea, and a trace of lingering arrogance. Wang Yang, regarding Miao Miao, it's my fault for not raising my daughter properly. He spoke, his voice dry and strained, but for the sake of my old face, could you spare her? She's still young, she can't be ruined like this. Chairman Lu, I interrupted him, when your daughter pushed me into the sea, she didn't think about how I was still young and couldn't just die like that. Lu Jiangwo's face turned pale. That was a moment of foolishness. It was Zhao Yunfei, that beast, who incited her. Miao Miao isn't bad at heart. She's just too kind, too easily deceived. Kind, I laughed, picking up a document from the table and throwing it in front of him. Chairman Lu, take a look at this. This is a detailed record of the funds your daughter has transferred from the Wang Group over the past 6 months, 86 million yuan, most of which ended up in the Zhao Group's pockets. And what's more, she took out a high-interest loan in the company's name, 30 million yuan, with interest compounding. It's now reached 50 million. The creditors came to the company yesterday, saying if the money isn't repaid, they'll resort to violence. Is this what you call kind? Lu Jiangwo's trembling hands picked up the document. He glanced at it only once before closing his eyes, old tears streaming down his face. What a sin, he murmured. Director Lu, I know you came here today to trade shares of Lu's building materials for your Daughter's freedom. I leaned forward, looking at him. But I don't want shares, I want you to promise me 3 things. Tell me. Lu Jiangwo opened his eyes, hope shining in them. First, all previous cooperative projects between Lu's building materials and Wang Group are hereby terminated. The penalty for breach of contract will be paid as stipulated in the agreement. Lu Jiangwo gritted his teeth. Fine. Second, the villa under your daughter's name was purchased by me. The car, the jewelry, the handbags, and most of the deposits were all provided by me. I will be taking all of these back. Fine. Third, I said, looking straight into his eyes, enunciating each word clearly, I want you to publicly declare in front of the media that you are severing your father-daughter relationship with Lu Miao, admit your failure in raising her, and apologize to me openly. Lu Jianlong suddenly stood up, his face turning ashen. Wang Yang, you're being too oppressive. Miao Miao is my only daughter, then you can choose not to agree. I leaned back in my chair, my tone indifferent. But in that case, your daughter might have to spend 20 years in prison. Moreover, without Wang Group's cooperation, how long can Lu's building materials survive? 3 months, half a year. By then, you'll not only lose your daughter but also your company. Your miserable old age would be quite pitiful to think about. Lu Jianlong trembled all over, pointing at me, his lips quivering, but unable to utter a word. In the end, as if drained of all strength, he collapsed back into the chair, covering his face and crying silently. I promise, his voice was broken, I promise everything. Wang Yang, she's my only daughter, please, leave her a way out, a way out. I stood up, walked to the window, and turned my back to him. She didn't want it herself, can't blame others for that. Lu Jiangwo left, his figure unsteady, as if he had aged 10 years in an instant. I watched his car drive away from the building, feeling no satisfaction, only a cold numbness. Pitiful, but half a year ago, when I was abandoned on a deserted island, struggling to survive amidst storms and waves, who pitied me then? When I hit my head on the reef and nearly died in the sea, who pitied me? When I lost my memory for half a year, mending fishing nets in a fishing village, not even knowing who I was, who pitied me? No one. So now, I won't pity anyone either. Mr. Wang. Linja pushed the door open, holding a stack of documents in his hand. The preliminary interrogation results from the police are in. The situation is more interesting than we imagined. What do you mean? Zhao Yunfei confessed everything. Linja placed the documents on my desk, his expression subtle. He said that from the very beginning, his approach to Lu Miao was premeditated. The Zhao Group's funding chain broke 3 years ago, and his father told him to find a way to latch onto the Wang Group's ship, knowing Lu Miao was naive and easy to control. He pretended to be sick and pitiful, gradually driving a wedge between you two, then encouraged Lu Miao to drain the company's resources and transfer assets. I opened the file. It was Zhao Yunfei's interrogation transcript. In the interrogation record, Zhao Yunfei confessed to all the details. He was never ill. Those heart attacks, drug allergies, and severe injuries from a car accident were all faked. The pills were vitamins. The hospital reports were forged, and the car crash was a staged incident. He had long known that Lu Miao was vain, selfish, and craved attention, so he deliberately cultivated an atmosphere of only I truly understand you, and Wang Yang is not good enough for you, making Lu Miao increasingly dependent on him and increasingly dismissive of me. On the day of the shipwreck, he deliberately jumped into the sea to frame me, then urged Lu Miao to push me overboard. He said, Miao Miao, if Wang Yang dares to push me today, he'll dare to hit you tomorrow. A man like this can't be kept around. Now that we're in international waters, with no one watching, let him disappear. For the past 6 months, he and Lu Miao had been living together under the guise of fiancés, spending my money, living in my house, driving my car, and planning to emigrate overseas once the patent was sold, so they could be together forever. Bastard. I slammed the documents on the table. There's more. Linja flipped to another page. Zhao Yunfei confessed that his father, Zhao Guangquan, the boss of Zhao Group, knew about this plan from the very beginning and was the mastermind. Zhao Guangquan even contacted an overseas gang, planning to stage an accident to eliminate Lu Miao as well after the patent transaction was completed, so Zhao Yunfei could take all the assets for himself. I froze. He even wanted to kill Lu Miao. In his eyes, Lu Miao was just a tool. Linja sneered. A tool to be discarded after use. I remained silent for a long time. Does Lu Miao know about this? Probably not. Zhao Yunfei said that Lu Miao always believed he truly loved her, thinking they were a star-crossed couple whose true love conquers all. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. How ridiculous. Lu Miao betrayed me, attempted to murder me, and drain my company, all for Zhao Yunfei, and Zhao Yunfei had been plotting against her, using her, and even planning to kill her. From the very beginning, this pair of true lovers truly seemed made for Each other, the police have taken Zhao Guangquan into custody, Linja said. Zhao's group is suspected of illegal fundraising, money laundering, and hiring triads. With multiple charges combined, Zhao Guangquan will never see freedom again. As for Zhao Yunfei, facing charges of occupational embezzlement, commercial fraud, and instigating murder, he's looking at a minimum of 15 years. Where's Lu Miao? Attempted intentional homicide, but she was instigated, considered an accomplice. Plus, she returned part of the illicit money and had a good attitude in admitting guilt, probably around 10 years. 10 years, the best years of a woman's life, to be spent in prison. By the time she emerged, she was nearly 40, with nothing to her name, her reputation in ruins, and even her father had cut ties with her. This was more cruel than death. President Wang, Linja looked at me. Have you softened? No, I shook my head. I just think this play is more thrilling than I imagined. There's something even more compelling. Linja took out a tablet from his briefcase and played a video. This is surveillance footage from the detention center. Yesterday afternoon, Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei met in the interrogation room. The police wanted them to confront each other, but he slid the tablet toward me. In the video, Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei sat on opposite sides of a table, handcuffed, wearing prison uniforms, their faces pale and their eyes weary. At first, the two gazed at each other with deep emotion. Lu Miao cried, "Yunfei, I don't blame you. Let's face this together." Zhao Yunfei also shed tears. "Miao Miao, I'm sorry, it's my fault that you got hurt." But when the police presented Zhao Yunfei's interrogation transcript and read out the part where he planned to kill Lu Miao's expression changed, from sorrow, to shock, to disbelief, and finally, to bone-chilling resentment and madness. "Zhao Yunfei." Her voice trembled. "What you just said, is it true? Were you deceiving me from the very beginning, and you wanted to kill me?" Zhao Yunfei lowered his head, afraid to look at her. "Answer me," Lu Miao screamed, lunging forward to hit him, but was held back by the police. "Miao Miao, listen to my explanation." Zhao Yunfei was still struggling. "Explain what? Explain how you played me for a fool for 3 years. Explain how you spent my money while plotting to kill me." Lu Miao's eyes were bloodshot, like a provoked mother beast. "Zhao Yunfei, for you, I betrayed Wang Yang, pushed him into the sea, and drained his company. For you, I was abandoned by everyone, even my own father turned his back on me, and you treat me like this." "I didn't. The police are trying to drive a wedge between us." Zhao Yunfei was still making excuses. "Enough." Lu Miao suddenly calmed down. With a terrifying calmness, she looked at Zhao Yunfei and smiled, a sinister smile. "Zhao Yunfei, you want me to take all the blame so you can get a reduced sentence, don't you? Let me tell you, dream on." She turned to the police, speaking word by word. "I want to report him." Zhao Yunfei forged medical records for fraud 3 years ago, fled the scene after drunk driving 2 years ago, attempted to rape a female subordinate and settled it privately a year ago. And also, he takes drugs, in the private rooms of clubs. I have video evidence. Zhao Yunfei's face turned deathly pale. "Lu Miao, you're talking nonsense." "Whether I'm talking nonsense or not, the police will find out when they investigate." Lu Miao sneered. "By the way, his father, Zhao Guangquan, is no good either. Last year's fatal construction site accident was orchestrated by Zhao Guangquan to fraudulently claim insurance money. The body of the worker who died is still buried under the construction site in the suburbs. I know the location." The video ends here. I looked up at Linja. "It's a case of dog-eat-dog." Linja shook his head. "Most of the clues Lu Miao provided have been verified by the police, and they're all true." Zhao Yunfei's sentence is likely to be extended to over 20 years. Zhao Guangquan might face the death penalty. What about Lu Miao? She has merit for reporting the crime, which counts as significant meritorious service, so her sentence might be reduced to 5 to 7 years. Moreover, she is willing to return all illegal gains, including the villa, cars, and jewelry, totaling around 30 million. However, she will still have to bear the 50 million from the loan shark herself. 5 to 7 years, she'll be in her mid-30s when she gets out, still miserable, but a bit better than 10 years ago. "Mr. Wang, should we stop it?" Linja asked. "If you don't want her sentence reduced, I can." "No need," I interrupted. "This is fine, but, Attorney Lin," I looked at him and smiled. "Death is too easy for them. I want them to live in the mire, to resent each other, to tear each other apart, to spend the rest of their lives regretting, suffering, and experiencing what it means to wish they were dead." Linja was taken aback for a moment, then he smiled too. "President Wang, you are even more ruthless than I imagined. They taught me everything." I walked to the window and looked down at the endless stream of traffic below. 3 days from now, we will hold a press conference. I want to reveal everything to the media, including Zhao Yunfei's interrogation transcripts, Lu Miao's whistleblowing materials, all the evidence. I want to ruin them, to ensure they never recover. Yes, after Linja left, I stood by the window for a long time. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the city, bathing everything in a warm light, yet all I felt was cold. The scar on the wrist, under the setting sun, resembles a black crack, stretching across the skin, ugly, ferocious, and never healing. But I no longer hate is too exhausting. I only wish to watch them, slowly rotting in the mud, then, continue moving forward. Carrying this scar, and this heart that has died once. Chapter 8. The press conference was held in the largest conference room of the Wang Group. At 9 in the morning, the auditorium, which could accommodate 200 people, was already packed to capacity. In the front row sat reporters with their long and short lenses, while behind them were business peers, partners, company employees, and even some onlookers drawn by the spectacle. I stood backstage, peering through the crack in the door at the sea of faces. Linja stood beside me, going over the speech one last time. President Wang, copies of all the evidence have been prepared and will be distributed to the media after your speech, Linja said in a low voice. I've also spoken with the police. They will issue an official case briefing immediately after the press conference. I nodded and adjusted the cuffs of my suit jacket. The scar on my wrist was hidden by the cuff, but I knew it was there. A brand etched into both flesh and bone. Nervous? Linja asked. Nothing to be nervous about. I looked at him. The one who should be nervous is in prison. At 9:30. I stepped onto the stage. Camera flashes instantly lit up the room, and the sound of shutters clicking rose and fell. I stood behind the podium, looking at the faces in the audience, some curious, some sympathetic, some gloating, and suddenly felt it was all a bit ridiculous. Half a year ago, when I, accidentally, fell into the sea and went missing, how many of these people genuinely grieved for me? How many whispered behind my back, Wang Yang's luck is just bad, he finally made something of himself, only to die under mysterious circumstances, and how many were already scheming about how to carve up the Wang family's lucrative assets? Now, I have returned, covered in scars and bearing a brutal truth. They sit here once again, watching like an audience, waiting to hear an even more sensational story. Human nature truly cannot withstand scrutiny. Friends from the media, distinguished guests, I began, my voice amplified by the microphone and echoing throughout the venue. I am Wang Yang. Half a year ago, I fell into the sea and went missing during a company team-building event. Today, I stand here not to tell a miraculous tale of survival, but to expose a meticulously planned murder and betrayal. The venue fell silent instantly, with only the sound of camera shutters still clicking. I turned on the projector on the podium, and the first photo appeared, a picture of me on a yacht 6 months ago, dressed in casual clothes, holding a glass of champagne, with a gentle smile. The next photo showed Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei on vacation in the Maldives, hugging each other and smiling brightly at the camera. This is my fiancée, Lu Miao, and her childhood friend, Zhao Yunfei, I said, pointing at the photo. 3 years ago, Lu Miao and I got engaged. A year ago, Zhao Yunfei entered our lives. From that day on, my nightmare began. I switched the slides to show Zhao Yunfei's medical records, a heart disease diagnosis, allergy records, and a car accident injury report. Zhao Yunfei is sick, I emphasized, with heart disease, severe allergies, and post-accident sequelae, requiring Lu Miao to take care of him around the clock. For him, I postponed our wedding, cancelled our honeymoon, and spent countless late nights at the hospital keeping him company. But later, I discovered that all these illnesses were fake. The next slide showed a forged medical report alongside photos of Zhao Yunfei lifting weights at the gym and partying wildly at nightclubs. The venue erupted in an uproar. During the 6 months I was missing, I continued, Lu Miao took over the company as my fiancé, and Zhao Yunfei intervened in operations under the guise of a consultant. What did they do? Financial statements, cash flow charts, and records of equity changes appeared one by one on the large screen. Appointing cronies, sidelining veteran officials, misappropriating funds, forging contracts. In just half a year, 86 million was transferred from the Wang Group to the Zhao Group. At the same time, they planned to sell the company's core patents, cash out, and emigrate overseas. I paused, then looked out at the audience, and the starting point of all this was the accident that occurred half a year ago. The final photo appeared, a close-up of the gruesome scar on my wrist, the dark red scar twisted like a centipede, shocking to behold under the stark white lights. This is not an injury from accidentally falling into the water, I said, enunciating each word clearly. This is the injury I sustained when I was pushed into the sea, my head hitting a hidden reef, nearly costing me my life, and the one who pushed me into the sea was my fiancée, Lu Miao. The one who ordered the crew not to save me was also her. I played the recording. Lu Miao's cold voice echoed through the venue. Yunfei and I grew up together. How could your feelings for him compare to mine? If he suffers even the slightest grievance, it's your fault. Reflect on your actions on this deserted island. Once he forgives you, I'll come back for you. Then came the captain's voice, Miss Lu, this is international waters, Mr. Wang can't swim, set sail, anyone who dares to save him will be opposing the Lu and Zhao families. The recording ended, the venue fell into a deathly silence. A few seconds later, it exploded, the reporters surged forward frantically, questions firing like bullets. Mr. Wang, so this was a premeditated murder. Where are Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei now? Can the funds from the Wang group be recovered? Where have you been for the past 6 months? Why didn't you come back sooner? I raised my hand to quiet the commotion. Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei are currently in detention, awaiting legal judgment. My voice was calm yet carried an undeniable authority. We'll recover as much of Wang Group's funds as possible. Any shortfall will be covered by my own money. As for what I did during these past 6 months, I looked into the camera, my gaze cold. I was stranded on a deserted island, rescued by fishermen, and suffered from amnesia for half a year. During that time, I mended fishing nets in the fishing village, making a living through odd jobs, not even knowing who I was. It wasn't until a month ago that I slowly regained my memory and realized I had almost died at the hands of the person I loved most. I paused, my voice growing softer but colder. Today, I'm holding this press conference not to play the victim or seek sympathy. I just want to tell everyone, the price of betrayal is high. No one can escape the consequences, whether it's the law, morality, or their own conscience. Additionally, I glanced toward Lu Jiangwo's seat in the audience. He was sitting in a corner, head bowed, not daring to look at me. Mr. Lu Jian, Lu Miao's father, is also here today. He approached me yesterday, hoping to exchange his shares in Lu's building materials for his daughter's freedom. I refused. Lu Jian's body trembled, but I promised him that as long as he accomplishes 3 things, I will, within the bounds of the law, give Lu Miao a less hopeless outcome. I opened the final PowerPoint slide. It is a handwritten open letter by Lu Jiangwo, a scanned copy. The letter is not long, but every word seems to be dripping with blood. I, Lu Jiangwo, have failed in raising my daughter, resulting in my daughter Lu Miao committing a grave mistake and causing irreparable harm to Mr. Wang Yang. I am deeply ashamed and heartbroken, and hereby offer my sincere apologies to Mr. Wang Yang and the public. From this day forward, I sever the father-daughter relationship with Lu Miao, and her actions have nothing to do with the Lu family. All cooperation between Lu's building materials and the Wang Group will be terminated immediately, with the penalty paid in full within 3 days. All assets under Lu Miao's name, including villas, vehicles, jewelry, etc., will be returned to Mr. Wang Yang. Once again, I apologize and feel utterly ashamed. Lu Jiangwo. The venue erupted in an uproar once again, severing the father-daughter relationship, publicly apologizing, paying compensation, and returning assets. This has completely blocked Lu Miao's last possible path. Mr. Lu, I said, looking at Lu Jiangwo, my voice amplified by the microphone to reach every corner. You have fulfilled your promise. I will also fulfill mine. Lu Miao's sentence will not exceed 7 years. But after those 7 years, whether she lives or dies, whether fortune or misfortune befalls her, it has nothing to do with me, and nothing to do with you either. From now on, she is Lu Miao, just Lu Miao, a released convict bearing the charges of murder, betrayal, and fraud. Lu Jiangwo covered his face, his shoulders trembling, but he made no sound. I turned off the PowerPoint and looked toward the camera. The press conference has come to an end. Next, my lawyer, Mr. Linjia, will answer your questions. As for me, I paused, and finally said, I'm going to start a new life, carrying this scar, and a lesson learned. With that, I turned and walked off the stage, leaving the noise and flashing lights behind me. The backstage was very quiet. I leaned against the wall, lit a cigarette, and my hand trembled slightly. Linjia followed me in, looking at me, hesitating to speak. I exhaled a puff of smoke. Mr. Wang, were you too harsh just now? Linjia said softly, cutting off the father-daughter relationship and demanding a public apology. For an elderly person, ruthless. I laughed, flicking away the ash from my cigarette. Lawyer Lin, if I had died half a year ago, stranded on a deserted island, my body picked clean by fish until only bones remained, who would have wept for me? Who would have sought justice for me? Who would remember that there was an orphan named Wang Yang, who built everything from nothing, only to die at the hands of the person he loved most? Linjia fell silent. No one. I finished for him. I would have vanished like a speck of dust, without a trace. Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei would have taken my money, made love in my house, and meddled in my company, all while mocking me as a fool who deserved to die. I pressed the cigarette out in the ashtray. So, don't talk to me about being ruthless. They were ruthless to me first. I'm just giving their ruthlessness back to them. Linjia sighed and didn't say anything more. What do we do next? He asked. 2 things, I said. First, establish an orphan relief foundation using the recovered funds as the initial capital. From now on, 10% of the Wang Group's annual profits will be invested into it. The foundation will be named after me. Call it the Sunward Foundation. Xiangyang, Linjia nodded. A good name. And the second, I looked out the window. I want to get married. Linjia was stunned. Get married? To whom? I don't know. I smiled. But I have to get married eventually. I need to find someone to accompany me through the rest of my life. But this time, I'll keep my eyes open and find someone truly kind, someone who won't push me into the sea. Linjia smiled, but there was a hint of bitterness in his smile. President Wang, do you still believe in love? Yes, I nodded, but I believe in human nature even more. Human nature cannot withstand tests, so don't give it the chance to be tested. 3 days later, the court hearing began. The case of Lu Miao and Zhao Yunfei, due to the solid evidence and severe social impact, was tried publicly. The media broadcast the entire process live, with over 10 million viewers online. In the courtroom, Lu Miao wore a prison uniform, her face pale and her eyes vacant, when the judge read out her convictions for attempted intentional homicide, embezzlement, commercial fraud, and other charges, sentencing her to 7 years in prison. She didn't cry or make a scene, she just looked up and glanced at me. That look in her eyes, I couldn't forget it for a long time. It is hatred, regret, resentment, and a near-desperate sense of confusion. She probably still doesn't understand, even now, why things turned out this way, why Wang Yang, who once loved her as if his life depended on it and catered to her every whim, would personally send her to prison. Zhao Yunfei received an even heavier sentence, 20 years of imprisonment. When he heard the verdict, he collapsed on the spot, as the bailiffs dragged him out. His pants were wet again, and the stench of urine filled the entire courtroom. In the public gallery, Zhao Guangquan was also present. He is suspected of illegal fundraising, money laundering, and hiring someone to commit murder, which will be handled in a separate case, but it is estimated that he will also face the death penalty or life imprisonment. He watched his son being dragged away, tears streaming down his face, but no one sympathized with him. Lu Jiangwo did not come. It is said that the day after the press conference, he suffered a stroke and is now in the hospital, paralyzed on one side and unable to speak clearly. Lu's building materials company, leaderless and disorganized, was swallowed by its competitors, and the Lu family's decades-old enterprise was destroyed in an instant. As I was leaving the courtroom, I was surrounded by reporters at the courthouse entrance. Mr. Wang, are you satisfied with the verdict? Will you visit Lu Miao? What are your plans next? I stopped walking and looked at the camera. The verdict is the law's verdict, and I respect it, I said. As for visiting, there's no need. Some paths, once taken, cannot be turned back from. Some people, once missed, are just missed. Will you still believe in love? A young female reporter asked. I looked at her and smiled. I believe, I said, but I believe in myself even more. With that, I got into the car and left the courthouse. The car drove through the streets of Binhai City. The sunlight was warm, and the plane trees along the roadside were beginning to sprout new buds. Spring was on its way. I rolled down the window to let the wind blow in. The scar on my wrist was exposed, no longer gruesome in the sunlight. Instead, it looked like a medal, evidence that I had died once and come back to life. Mr. Wang, where to? The driver asked. To the company, I said. There's still a lot to do. Yeah, there's still a lot to do. We need to rebuild the company, reorganize the team, recover the losses, and start a new life. All that betrayal, all that hurt, all those schemes. That nearly cost me my life. They'll just become scars in my memory. They'll hurt, but they won't kill me. That's enough. The car merged into the traffic and drove into the distance, and my new life has just begun.